You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this first Thursday of the month, Masters Thursday. 3 weeks from today is the draft. The baseball season is a week long. As we ask the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark with double, if not triple duty today. It's one of the reasons why we have a day off tomorrow. Somebody's going to need to lie down.
Right after the show, I'm going to need a nap. Can feel it coming already. Stressed out.
Well, that's good. A nap before the Masters really gets going. I know you can go to masters.com and all that and start right away. Heck, you might be able to start during the show, but
I promise you this, David. I will not start watching the Masters until the show is over.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Now, if Felipe was in his normal spot producing the show like he is supposed to, not going on these vacations without filling in for his duties, I would have checked out around 8 and been on my phone watching the Masters. But you've got me until 10 o'clock today, David. I am ready to go.
I appreciate that because you're the one that has us on the air and is keeping us on the air and keeping the train running and that sort of deal. Hey, we've been doing this now well over 15 years, and I don't know if we've ever gone down this road. When I say the Masters to you, what do you think of?
Believe it or not, I think of Jack, and I think of 86 Jack and my dad. Those are probably my greatest Masters memories of just how excited watching my dad see the old guy come back from nowhere and win. That's my greatest Masters memory. And I was lucky enough to take my dad to the Masters the year Immelman won. So I think of my dad.
Now, Dad was not a Jack fan, though, right?
Not until 86.
Right. It's funny how many people were not necessarily Jack fans till around 4 p.m. that Sunday.
But they were of similar age, or are of similar age. My dad's passed, but they were of similar age. And there was something about the old guy doing it that, the Masters always was a special tournament, but I think that Masters changed the way everyone viewed Augusta going forward. I think that was I don't know about the pinnacle, but that began the craziness. Even, David, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for about a year and a half in the early 90s, and practice round tickets were readily available. It wasn't a big deal to get a practice round ticket. Hell, it wasn't even that difficult to go to a round. But practice round tickets, that was something people just did. Hey, let's go to the practice round almost. And now you're in a lottery to try to get practice round tickets, and they're treated as if, it's the gold ticket to Willy Wonka's, for crying out loud.
Well, and much to Greg Norman's chagrin, you also followed up. I mean, the Masters had, a bit of a run there, kind of like we referenced back the NCAA tournament that started with all those eyeballs with Larry and Magic. It was not a great game. Michigan State basically had them at arm's length the whole way. But it's still the most people who have ever watched a college basketball game was Magic and Larry back in 79. But then beginning the next year, Louisville, UCLA went down to the wire, and we could go right on through. 81, it was the day Reagan was shot. Bobby Knight in Indiana beat Dean Smith in North Carolina. The epic Carolina-Georgetown final, then the epic NC State over Houston. I mean, college hoops, starting with Magic and Larry, then proceeds to have damn near a spectacular decade of Final Four and finals right after it. The Masters gets to follow up Jack's heroics with Mize chipping in the next year. Maybe the greatest shot in the history of the tournament. I mean, good debate. Saracens, double eagle. All the way back in the day. Most people remember Tigers chip in. In your life. Vern says it's his second best call, by the way, at the Masters. Yes, sir. He still puts ever so slightly ahead of In Your Life.
Interesting.
Yep. That. And I believe In Your Life, or Yes, sir, was Vern's fourth Masters, but I think it was the first time he was on 17. I'm trying to remember. He got the gig in 83, and then he moved to 17 when Frank Gleber unexpectedly passed away. I think Vern was around 13, his first few Masters. I don't know if that was the first time he was on 17. So, yeah. So, yes, sir, ever so slightly ahead of In Your Life.
Nice that you can choose between those two of which one's your
Right.
best.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you what, for a guy who was never the number one guy at a network, he was always number two. First behind Summerall, then behind Nance. Technically got demoted when CBS hired Dick Enberg, and Vern was sent to the SEC. How well did that work out for both? But yeah, quite a few epic calls. He had Duke, Kentucky. We could go on and on. But anyway, so it's interesting. It's funny you say 86 Masters. You were in high school still, right?
Right.
I was a junior in college, and I was already kind of sort of working in the business. But it was a Sunday, and I didn't have to work. So I'm on campus, and it starts happening. And in excitement, I go from sitting alone in my room off campus. I ran to campus for some reason. I ran to campus, and people my age started congregating, okay, in an area where we don't normally congregate at 4 or 5 in the afternoon on a Sunday. And now we had literally over 100 people watching this big TV in the middle of campus, okay, where the cafeteria was upstairs and all that. And a bunch of 20-year-olds are watching Jack. But I just remember being so excited when he went birdie, 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 9, 10, and 11 to get it started. And I'm like, oh, man. And so I missed the bogey on 12. I was too busy running the 3 blocks to get to campus. I mean, that's how excited I was. I could have just gone upstairs. I lived in the basement of the Monroe house. I could have just gone upstairs one flight. We had a TV in the living room with a bunch of comfortable chairs. TV wasn't big enough, Mark. It just was. It was a normal TV. I'm like, this isn't big enough. I need a TV.
I need a 36-inch console somewhere.
Right. Jack's making a run. I need a TV. So, I mean, I remember the Masters before that, obviously. Knew I wanted to be a sportscaster. So I remember Stadler in 82. I remember Fuzzy. I remember Ed Snead finishing bogey, 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 and Fuzzy winning in a playoff.
I remember the Stadler because I believe memory serves me right. He beat a guy by the name of Dan Pohl. And
Correct.
Dan Pohl was from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, not too far. That was a guy that we pulled for because he was the only pro golfer from in and around our area. And he was that close to winning a Masters. So I remember watching that one very closely.
I remember Jack and Watson are having a duel in 81. It wasn't quite Turnberry in 78, but they're tied with 2 holes to play. Jack's ahead of Watson, and while Watson's snaking in a birdie putt on 17, Jack's hitting his tee shot into the bunker and bogeying 18. So Watson beats Jack again, and Jack's 41 now. You don't know how many more of these he's going to have. But in the Masters in 81, remember, Jack won 2 majors in 80 at age 40. And here he is threatening to win the Masters to start 81. And it's like, ha, the old man's got it. So just kind of curious, what does everybody think of when we say, hey, the Masters? What comes to mind?
And I've got to think most people under the age of 40, maybe even under the age of 30, for sure under the age of 30, but even under the age of 40, it's got to be Tiger.
Well, and for those, say, 40-ish, which Tiger? 97, when he laps the field and wins by 12, a win for the ages? Is it when Tiger completes the Tiger Slam in 01, holding off Duval and Mickelson to win 4 majors in a row? I mean, I have to admit, I remember in 06, Tiger desperately trying to will in putts down the back 9 because he knows his dad's dying. And this could be the last major before his dad's death. All right. Even Phil and Tiger, who hated each other at the time. Phil, okay, in his acceptance speech, Phil wins in 04, puts the jacket on Tiger in 05. Tiger's got to put the jacket on Phil in 06. And Phil turns to Tiger and says, listen, we send our regards to your dad. And Tiger nearly starts breaking down. And you knew something was up. He was reacting to missed putts in a way that even we hadn't seen before. The chip in 05. Most people forget he goes bogey on 17 and 18 after the chip in to back into the playoff. Or is it Tiger in 2019? The 5th one. What Tiger do you think of?
I think of the first one is my initial thought, and probably the bookends, because I wasn't expecting the 5th, and the first one was just so special. The dominance was of akin to something we'd not ever seen at that course before. And then what were they going to do to the course after to fix it so that the Tiger proofing of the course after 97 of how Augusta reacted to what he did, and it didn't stop him a bit.
You mean turning it into a par 68 because he was hitting driver 8-iron, driver wedges into the par 5s? So what do you think of when we say the Masters, which gets underway with ceremonial tee shots within the next 2 hours? And then Scotty Scheffler tries to become the 4th man to ever repeat as Masters champion. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. All right, one down, 11 to go.
The reason that Mark has two cameras is for whatever reason we need the computer and that's in our normal studio to be on. We can't broadcast without that being on. So that's why the camera from where Mark normally broadcasts from is on.
And instead of putting the camera on a blank wall like we did yesterday, I just turned it so there's two angles of the booth. It's a better shot. It's I'm not that vain that I need two of these. Although I will say my wife has now told me the reason I'm growing the mustache. Did you need to draw more attention to yourself? Is what she asked me yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, the hatred of this mustache is growing. I literally go to give her a kiss goodbye, and she leans in and turns away.
And so, and you, of course, said, well, in a house in which everything in the house is geared towards you and our daughter, maybe.
So you'll love this, David, because you know how much I'm enjoying coaching softball. And it really sucks because it's been all games. It's not been a lot of practice. So it's hard to make these kids get better when there's I just want to see the kids get better. That's all I'm hoping for is that, we had a practice, but anyhow, that we got beat again and we're not good. I mean, we're not. And the head coach looks at me and he goes, I don't understand why we're not, we're not, we're doing that. And I said, we're not good. And I lipped it. And he goes, what? Because one of the kids was there and we took 2 steps away. I go, we're not good. Well, we're not that bad. I said, we're not good.
No, we're not.
And I looked at him. I said, do you remember last year? We had 4 elite players on our team for this age. We had 4 really good players. We don't have one really good player. We got 4 okay players, but there's not one that I would say she's really good.
Right.
Oh, he didn't like that too much. That bothered him. That was,
Why?
I don't know. He's so competitive.
Oh,
it is amazing. It's just amazing what happens to people.
Morning, Ambien. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, just come on. This is 8 and under
8
softball,
under. Oh,
correct? Yeah. Right. Okay.
Cracks me right up, though. All right. I'm going back to the other thing a little earlier than before.
That is interesting that when we asked, so just when you think of Tiger, which Masters do you think of? And people have mentioned 4 of the 5. They mentioned the first one. They mentioned the Tiger Slam. They mentioned the chip in 05. And they mentioned the last one. RCB, a lot of people aren't into golf. They find it boring. I will say the Masters, though, kind of supersedes golf. I think it's the time of the year.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll talk football next hour. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, will join us. We'll head to Augusta once again. Whit Watson helping broadcast this event, the many different ways that the event is being broadcast. Whit Watson to join us at 8 o'clock as our Masters previews continue. That's right around the time that Jack and Gary and Tom will be doing the ceremonial tee shots. Hope the weather can hold off as much as possible today, never mind all 4 days. So we just had a comment in our Twitch chat room in which they said, I just never really been into golf. And I said to that gentleman, most people aren't into golf, but the Masters is kind of, there's golf and then there's the Masters. And I think, Mark, it's twofold. One, it's the time of the year. Most of the country in early April were either desperately wanting to put winter to bed or the weather is just broken. And it's like, wait a minute, are we actually, can I start loosening up and hitting golf balls? Can I? And so I think the Masters benefited from the time of year, but also, let's be honest, we know the course. I mean, it's the only one of the majors in which they play the same course every year.
And it's gorgeous. No, I mean, but that's the other part of it. It's the one golf tournament that if you sit down with your wife or, growing up with my mom and dad, women watched it and went, oh, look at that place. And then they watch the golf and get into it. There's something about the Masters and the way that place is set up. And I do think the first part of what you said has a lot to do with it. It's almost like the Masters is on and you go grab your clubs out of the garage and maybe you dust them off a little bit and it's like, ooh, we're getting close.
Yeah.
Maybe I can hit these things in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
Maybe there's going to be a break in a day. And I mean, going back to that 86 Masters, I remember, my dad running the next day because Jack had that huge putter, going and buying that putter the next day at the place called King Parr that was about 30 miles away. There was the big golf shop about closest to us. That was the first thing he wanted to do was go get that putter that Jack used. And what's happening around there? You're just about to start your golf season.
I mean, how many of us, particularly if we grew up not in the South, who at some point during the Masters, we would, head to the garage or what have you and start swinging a club, start loosening up and going, okay, I maybe have to dust these suckers off. Who knows? 2-3 weeks from now, we might be playing. I can feel it. But I will say, the tournament was never, first off, the course was not always this beautiful. I mean, have you seen highlights from the 60s and into the early 70s? I mean, even when Jack beats Weiskopf and Johnny in 75, I mean, it's a nice track. All right. But it's not as gorgeous as it is now. It's not close. I mean, they really upgraded how beautiful that place is beginning in like the late 70s into the 80s.
100%.
And the other thing that's happened, it's kind of like NFL films with the NFL. I mean, the NFL wasn't always this romantic, if you will. NFL films was kind of doing its thing, but, baseball was the number one sport in our country. NFL was gaining steam and what have you, but then all of a sudden it all started to click. We loved the game, and then the romanticism of the storytelling associated with the game, and then the Super Bowl became the Super Bowl, and then, okay, now we're all in. We cannonball into the deep end about this sport. You've got us. There's not a single storyline you can't tell us.
And help me here, David. You're much better at this than I am, but all golf tournaments, we got 15, 16, 17, 18. We'd get some 13 and 14. With the Masters, we got 13 and 14. Then all of a sudden you started getting 11, 12, and a little bit of 10. You never got the front nine.
No.
And then, I don't know what year it was, all of a sudden they might show you some handheld cameras on 8.
You'd see the third, either the middle of the fairway shot on 8 or the third shot into 8, because it was a 3-shot par 5 until the last generation. Yes.
And they would tease you. And I remember when my boss, when I worked in Atlanta, went to the practice round. I remember he came back and he went, "Wait until you see the front nine. Oh my God, it's unbelievable." And there was this mystery. And Mongo pointed this out as well in our Twitch chat room. There was a mystery about the course. So for those of us of a certain age, it was almost every year they gave us a little bit more. Now we're getting some more front nine. Oh my goodness, David, we're getting front nine coverage. They're showing us the second hole.
And even though they show you, I mean, featured groups, you can see damn near the whole round. But they won't put it on network television. I mean, you don't think CBS and ESPN want to broadcast more Masters? Of course they do. And the Masters is like, no, the 3-4 hour windows, that's enough. And the networks are like, no, man. I mean, come on, we do 14 hours of the Open Championship. I mean, we could do this. We could show everybody's every shot. They're like, no, we've got this Masters.com thing. I mean, if people are really into it, they can find it themselves. No, we're okay. The whole less is more, Mark, that's been the Masters philosophy. Because, ABC, when they had golf, they were the first ones to show us all 18 holes of the weekend. They did it with the PGA and the U.S. Open. Like when Jack beat Iso Aoki in 1980 at age 40, we saw his first tee shot. We saw every shot Jack hit that day. ABC was the first network to do that. Show us the whole course, show us every shot. The Masters was like, hell no. No. We won't even show you the 10th hole. Maybe we'll show you the green. Maybe.
And they sucked everybody in, because every time they gave more of the course, people went bat blank crazy over seeing more of Augusta National.
Oh, wow. Look at 9. If you drive it too far, it goes down the hill. Then you got a thin lie for a wedge. Oh, wow. Look at that green. It's like a ski slope. Oh, man. I mean, if you don't hit it far enough, you can spin it off the green. It'll go 30, 50 yards downhill. But if you hit it too far, you got a 40-foot downhill putt. You can putt it right off the green. Wow. Eight's a par 5? Really? I mean, I'll never forget. First time I turned around and they showed us like 4 or 5. I went, oh my goodness, this part of the course exists? I just thought they gave everybody like pars to the 8th tee.
So what are your thoughts? What does the Masters mean to you? 21,000 is the text line, 21000. If you've never texted the show before, FSN Radio is the keyword. FSN Radio, all one word. Text the show with your thoughts on what the Masters means to you, what you think of when we start talking about Augusta National as they get ready to tee it off in about 90 minutes this morning.
Vern's doing the Masters again. He says he was going to do this year and next year, and that'll be 40. And then he's probably done.
40 Masters. Wow.
And Nance is holding out. He wants to do 51. Apparently his 51st Masters would be the 100th Masters. 2036 is the 100th Masters. Nance wants to do it, which I think would put him like 77 or something like that.
Hello, friends.
Well, Vern's 82, so, my guess is he'll get his wish. The starting 5 is next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, he is, Paul. He is a good guy. And yes, he and Brad Childress are good friends, and Brad loves his Everblades.
Yeah, I got the invite to go last night with Pat and Childress, but had to cancel because of softball.
It just makes that fine quality play look even better.
Yes, sir.
So, did you hear the story about trademarking? What is that line that Nance came up with? Unlike any other, a tradition unlike any other.
Right.
So that was not trademarked. Nance just came up with it, cutting promos, and obviously CBS had used it, 20 years. Well, like 5 years ago, whatever, the Masters decides, we should probably own that. And so, it's not theirs, and it's kind of Nance's and CBS's. And so the Masters went to him and said, we'd like that. And Nance and CBS went, okay. And that was it. No money, no nothing. Masters came to him and said, hey, we're going to trademark that. That's going to be ours. And Nance and CBS were like, sure, guys, anything you want. That's fine. Can I get your roast beef on rye?
So I know one person pushing hard for a Monday finish. My kid, his boss, it's my my ex-wife's cousin, but he said, whoever has the tickets this year, because his mom's family has tickets, and whoever has the tickets this year, no way they can go on Monday. And Michael was telling Jacob, he says, I think if it goes to Monday, I might have the tickets. And he goes, oh, you and your brother going? And he goes, Lappin can't go. Jacob just kind of looked at him, really. So Jacob's like, there's a chance here right now, if this goes to Monday, that I'm getting up early Monday morning and going to Augusta. Good for you.
How far is it from Greenville?
Probably 4 or 5.
There you go.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network will join us 1 hour from now. Whit Watson to help preview the Masters for us. Jack and Gary and Tom will just be hitting their ceremonial tee shots, or we'll have Whit Watson in a little more than an hour. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, it's the Masters. And before we get to some of what I have written down, we've been talking about the Masters off the top of the show. And we brought up the fact that the Masters, you didn't always see the front 9. 2002, is the first time we saw the front 9. In the late 90s, even, they were asked about it. And they're like, well, we feel that a lot of the patrons, once we put it on television, they leave the course. And we want the ticket to have more value. So they get to see things that you can't see on TV. And they said, and I just read the quote during the break, and besides, 4.5, 5 hours of golf on television, that's a lot. This is the Masters saying that. So 2002 is the first time we got a chance to see all 18 holes. And also at the very beginning, I don't know what Masters they switched, but the 9s were switched, And Bobby Jones decided after like the first or second Masters, the water would probably make for more exciting finish. So why don't we switch 9s and have that 9 be the back 9? Probably have more excitement that way. That worked out pretty well. Masters gets underway today. Scotty Scheffler trying to be the 4th to ever repeat. Jack, Nick Faldo, Tiger, the 3 who have done it. Rory trying to win the career Grand Slam. The LIV has 18 golfers in the field of 88. So 1 out of every 5 play on the LIV Tour. 81 pros, 7 amateurs.
You will not, however, see 1 of every 5 shots from live golfers. You'll see 1 of every 50 if you're lucky.
Right. None of them are in a featured group. Past champions, by the way, Larry Mize and Sandy Lyle both announced that this will be their last Masters. For Mize, it's his 40th. 40 in a row for Larry Mize, the 87 champion with the chip in on the second playoff hole to defeat Greg Norman. Sandy Lyle with one of the greatest shots in Masters history out of the fairway bunker on 18. He's tied with Calcavecchia. It's a 7-iron at 10 feet, makes the putt, wins his only major. Did that stupid dance, too. You know, looked like he was in Caddyshack, okay, with that dance. But this is their last Masters. All right, some of the featured pairings. You ready? Tiger is with Victor Hovland and Xander Schauffele at 10:18. Then 3 groups later, John Rahm, JT, and Cam Young at 10:42. That's it for the morning. Afternoon, Scheffler, Homa, Sam Bennett, who was the 2022 U.S. Amateur Champion. They get the 136 pairing. Next group is Rory, Sam Burns, Tom Kim at 148. And then at 2 o'clock, Jordan Spieth, Tommy Fleetwood, Tony Finau at 2. So those are your 5 featured groups today, 2 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. Obviously, Tiger will be playing tomorrow afternoon. Weather's supposed to be a factor. It's warm today. It's going to get colder Friday and downright chilly on Saturday, and Sunday, 90% chance of rain right now. So let's hope they're wrong about the weather for the Masters, which gets underway in a little more than an hour. Are the Rays ever going to lose?
I don't think so. I think they're going 162-0, David. Based on what I've seen so far, I don't know how they can lose.
Well, I will say it helps playing the Tigers and the Nats. You do have to give them that. Probably a 4th-place team and a 5th-place team. But they're 6-0. Wander Franco, Harold Ramirez, each had 2 hits, including a homer. Shane McClanahan's 2-0. 7-2 Rays over the Nats. Did we say they're 6-0?
McClanahan pitched out of a jam in the 5th. That was probably the only time the game was ever close.
By the way, the Marlins scored 4 in the 8th to win the series against the Twins, 5-2. Jorge Soler with 2 homers, 4 RBIs, including a 3-run jack in the 8th to break it open. The Braves swept the Cardinals 5-2. You heard about the whole controversy in St. Louis?
Yeah.
So their center fielder was accused of not running hard enough trying to score from second on a single 2 nights ago. And the manager publicly calls him out and then benches him yesterday. And the player's like, you know, he's wrong. I ran hard. I timed myself. It took me less than 7 seconds to go from second to home. I don't know what he's talking about. And the manager doubled down.
Unacceptable was the word the manager used.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
And the player's like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And why did he have to go public with this? Like, we couldn't have discussed this behind closed doors? He has to publicly embarrass me like this? Braves swept the Cardinals. They're 5-1. Matt Olson, a homer, 3 RBIs, and Bryce Elder, 6 shutout innings for Atlanta. That's your World Series champion, by the way. Braves over the Rays. Okay, that's your World Series. And I'm not saying it because the 2 teams are 11-1. That's who we liked last week, but I liked anyway. Braves over the Rays in the World Series. Yankees doubled up the Phillies 4-2. Phillies 1-5. Pittsburgh beat Boston 4-1. That's a sweep for the Pirates at Fenway. Milwaukee swept the Mets with a walk-off in the 9th, 7-6.
If we did the play of the day today, and we're not going to because I don't know how
right
to work everything over there, I didn't bother to learn, it would be Euchre's call of the Brewers' walk-off home run. It was fantastic.
Texas 5-2 over Baltimore. Jacob deGrom picked up the win. 6 innings, gave up just 1 run. Houston snapped a 3-game skid. They beat the Tigers 8-2. White Sox 7-3 over the Giants. Did you see Tim Anderson get ejected? So he's behind in the count 1-2. He steps into the box, back into the box with 11 seconds on the pitch count. And he's back in the box, but he's not necessarily. He just turns and looks at the pitcher, and the pitcher's in the windup. He's ready to go. And he throws a fastball right down the middle of the plate. And Anderson feels as if he's being quick pitched. And so as he's still doing his windup, Anderson just turns his back and walks out of the box. Right down the middle, strike 3. Anderson's upset. He barks at the umpire a little bit. And then he starts yelling at the pitcher from the dugout. And the umpire throws him out of the game. He's not even yelling at him. He's yelling at the pitcher. The pitcher said, I got to admit, he's giving it to me really good, but not enough to get ejected. Cleveland in 10 innings beat Oakland 6-4. Speaking of violations, Ohtani got one as both a pitcher and a hitter yesterday. Angels, however, Ohtani the winner, and he drove in a run, 4-3 over the Mariners. Toronto shut out Kansas City 3-0. You know, the Royals have played 6 games this year. They've been shut out 3 times. That's not good.
No, it is not.
Cubs and Reds were postponed, and there's already been 4 games postponed for today. Yankees at Orioles, Marlins at Mets, Reds at Phillies, Houston at Twins. They've already been postponed. Once again, this early season baseball in places without domes or warm weather is a hell of an idea. Brooklyn beat Detroit by 15, and that means they'll likely be the 6th seed. They are 1 win away from clinching it. Means the Heat are likely going to be the 7, and in the play-in, who will they play? Well, right now they would play Atlanta. The Hawks beat Washington while Toronto lost 97-93 in Boston, and Atlanta's got the tiebreak on Toronto. So right now it looks like the play-in game is going to be Atlanta at Miami. The other play-in will be Chicago at Toronto. Things can change between now and Sunday. The Knicks, they didn't have 3 starters, and yet they beat Indiana in Indiana 138-129 to clinch the 5 seed. Top 5 seeds are all locked up in the East. Dallas rallied, Mark, beat Sacramento 123-119. Dallas now tied with OKC for the 10th and final play-in spot. OKC is the tiebreaker, however, with 3 to play. Kings are the 3 seed, 2 behind Memphis. Crazy game in New Orleans. Memphis is up 17 at the half. New Orleans comes all the way back. This sucker's over. They're up 6 with less than 10 seconds to play. They give up a 3-pointer with 4 seconds to go. They foul the guy shooting it. He misses a free throw. New Orleans grabs the rebound, calls timeout. They go to inbound the ball from midcourt. They commit an offensive foul. They turn it over. Well, they're up 3. They're not going to let Memphis shoot a 3. So they inbound the ball and get fouled with 2 seconds to go. The guy from Memphis hits the free throw, misses the second. They grab the rebound, and there's a foul on the rebound. It's on New Orleans. And so the guy from Memphis goes to the line with 0.4 of a second left, hits both free throws. We go to overtime. 6 points in the final 5 seconds, despite missing 2 free throws and not having a timeout. New Orleans won it in overtime, 138-131. New Orleans right now is the 9 seed. Or excuse me, I think they're tied with the Lakers for the 7. Lakers lost to the Clippers last night. Clippers swept them. They've beaten them like 11 in a row. 125-118. Right now the Clippers are tied with Golden State for the 5 seed. Clippers have the tiebreak over both Golden State and the Lakers. If the Lakers can win their final 2, Mark, and Golden State, who plays 2 road games to end the season, loses
not against
1.
good teams, by the way, but
Right.
but it is Golden State on the road after all.
If the Lakers win their final 2 and Golden State loses one of their last 2, the Lakers are the 6 and Golden State would be the 7. Everybody's trying to be the 6. Everybody wants to play Sacramento. Nobody wants to be the 5. You'd play Phoenix. And being the 7, you get Memphis. Heat, by the way, in Philadelphia tonight. If they lose, they're in the play-in. NHL, Rangers double up the Lightning 6-3. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and then when Tampa cut it to 1, they scored 2 in the third. Big win for Calgary, 3-1 over Winnipeg. They're now tied with the Jets for the final playoff spot out west. However, Winnipeg has the tiebreaker, and Winnipeg has 4 games left, Calgary just 3. McDavid got an assist. He's got 148 points on the season. Edmonton 3-1 over Anaheim. NFL, John Elway contractually no longer part of the Broncos organization in any way, shape, or form. He said, I'll still go to games, and, if people want to call me and ask me my opinion on things, I'll certainly offer it. But no, it's time. I'm done. And the Ravens gave a presser yesterday, Mark, in which, they just want to talk about the draft, didn't want to talk about Lamar. But somebody combined Lamar into a draft question and said, with the unsettled situation at quarterback, would you take a quarterback at 22? And Eric DeCosta said, well, we're a best player on the board organization, always have been. So if 22 comes along and the best player on the board's a quarterback, yeah, we'd take a quarterback. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
that would be something. Whether like Richardson fell, which he
Or Hooker.
or Hendon Hooker. Boy, is everybody talking him up.
Well, I like what Pat said. It's a position, the 25-year-old shouldn't matter as much as it once did. They're playing that position until they're 35.
Yeah, he's recovered from a torn ACL, I don't even know how healthy he's going to be this year. But then again, if you're someone like Baltimore, you don't need him this year, right?
Not necessarily.
I mean, Lamar's going to play on the tag, and then you could trade Lamar after you tag him next year. You need him for 2024. Besides, you already got a Pro Bowler who's a backup, Mark. I mean, he threw 2 touchdown passes. Of course he's a Pro Bowler.
That one's never going to leave you.
That's not going to leave all of us in mocking the Pro Bowl. Well, I'm a Pro Bowler. Really? Really? The Ravens' backup was a Pro Bowler. He threw 2 touchdowns. I don't want to hear it. Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. And to think the Rays pitching staff's going to get better.
Right.
When you listed those featured groups, is that what the Masters is pointing out? I was surprised because the Zalatoris Morikawa Fitzpatrick's a pretty solid group too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's featured group. Is that in the morning?
No, it's in the afternoon.
I was just taking the groups that were mentioned in an article.
Gotcha. No. I just had the tee times up. I was kind of going along with you. And
I don't know. My guess is they probably have another featured group in the morning. 2 doesn't seem like enough.
all right, I'm switching back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, in which we are 3 weeks away from the draft. We're an hour away from the Masters getting underway. Thanks so much for being with us. And the baseball season is officially a full week old. Final days of the NBA regular season, a little over a week left in the NHL regular season. It's a great time to be a sports fan. Thank you very much. Of which we are. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. If you could pick a storyline, Mark, you're the script writer. You're Hollywood. I'll give you 3 storylines that you'd like to see. Gold, silver, bronze medal storylines play out this weekend at the Masters. What would they be?
Well, the gold storyline is very simple. It's Tiger Woods. That's always the gold storyline. Any way for Tiger to be in contention is the dream of CBS. Now, I don't think it's that realistic. I think playing the weekend would be a hell of an accomplishment. But if you're asking me to write storylines, you start and end with Tiger Woods.
For the record, since he won the Masters 4 years ago, he's played in 9 majors. He has completed 4 of them. He made the cut in 5, but in one of them he had to withdraw after the 3rd round of last year's PGA. So since winning the Masters, he's played 9 majors. He has only successfully finished 4 of them. His best finish is tied for 21st. So he doesn't have a top 20 in a major since he last won the Masters.
Storyline number 2 would be for Rory to complete the career Grand Slam by winning at Augusta and doing so by beating a live golfer on Sunday.
Patrick Reed in the final group.
Oh, my goodness, would that be something?
Little birdie bogey finish on 18 to go from 1 down to winning.
That would be storyline number 2. And I think storyline number 3 would be a repeat for Scottie Scheffler.
I want to see Rahm, because I actually think if Rahm can win the Masters, I think he can run the table. I think Jon Rahm's A game beats everybody. I really do. I think that Scheffler and Rory are Duval and Mickelson from 20 years ago. When Tiger had the A game going, it was over. You know, what Trevino used to say about Jack. When the big dog's hungry, you just get out of his way and watch him eat. And I really believe if Rahm gets it going, and how much the Masters, you know, Seve and Olazabal and even Sergio, okay, they mean a lot.
Last year, Rahm didn't have a top 10 in any of the majors. His best finish was a T12 at the U.S. Open. His only top 25 finish.
But after the British Open, Rahm found his game. And Rahm's got the most wins on tour this year. He's got 3.
You're right. But the last couple of weeks, he didn't play well at Arnie's tournament. Then he had a WD, and he got knocked out early in the match play event.
I think the wetter, slower conditions will favor him. His length off the tee also kind of just making those greens just a touch slower for him, I think will be a good thing.
That's funny because I think that also helps Rory a ton. Because Rory, who found his putter a year ago, this year on tour, has not been putting nearly as well. And the green slowing down, I think, will help Rory a ton.
I got to be honest, if I was Hollywood and you were the producer and you came into the room and I'm submitting scripts to you, you would say to me, "Where's the Tiger script?" And I literally would say, "Come on, dude, that's not realistic." Honestly, I didn't even waste my time.
You asked me to write a script.
No, I know that. I'm just telling you that if you turned around and asked me, I literally would not have mentioned Tiger as my top 3 storylines, and you would have said, "How the hell could you not give me a Tiger script?" And I'd be like, "Oh, come on. Seriously? Going to waste my time with that?"
No. I wouldn't have said that. I would have fired you. I would have said, you could come through this door and write any scripts you want, and you just said that one's too unrealistic. I'm sorry, you're dismissed.
Well, it is. I don't know what to tell you. Come on now. Why would you want me wasting precious time, which it's not really precious time writing a Tiger script? Come on. This ain't happening. Please. I'll be lucky to walk 4 days. Come on.
I agree with that.
Come on now. By the way, did you hear the story that Tiger told about he took out a trusted persimmon driver the other day and blasted one 290? And he said, the clubs are fine as long as you hit it right in the screws. He goes, if you're just a little off, he goes, it doesn't go worth a damn.
Have him play one round there, all of them with old clubs, just to see what happens.
Well, I guess Tiger brought some old golf balls with him this week, just for the heck of it, to show some guy, here, hit this. Like, I guess he handed somebody a Max Fly, said, here, hit this. I love Tiger, by the way. Just quick sidebar. Tiger all on the rollback. He's like, absolutely, we should be playing a different ball. We're pros. And I think it's because guess what Tiger's now into, Mark?
You beat me to it, David. Who's designing courses now? Tiger Woods.
There you go. And now all of a sudden he realizes, man, this land is hard to get a hold of.
And you really need a lot of it to build a golf course.
Damn, we hit it a long way, don't we? Maybe we need to shorten this sucker up. So I'm and if Tiger's for it, come on. When's the last time Tiger Woods has been against something? Okay. And they've said, Tiger, I don't know what to tell you. We're doing this.
That would be never.
Okay. So Tiger's in favor of the rollback, even though he's probably not even going to be playing on the PGA Tour when it goes into effect in 2026. And that's only if the PGA Tour is willing to adopt it. And even if the Tour doesn't, the Masters can. And the Masters pretty much said that we follow the lead of the USGA and the R&A. We respect them. I mean, the Masters, Fred Ridley kind of tipped their hand saying, we've been concerned about this for a while. And right now, if we had to take a vote, we're not voting. But if we had to take a vote right now, we'd be inclined to go along with it.
He also, in those comments, slapped Norman around a little bit because Norman didn't get invited and said, no, he's not invited. We wanted to focus on the golf. And the fact of the matter is, of the last 15 years, he's only come twice. And one of those times when he was working for Sirius Radio as a commentator. So Greg can call it petty all he wants. But the only reason he wants to show up is because he's now running Live Golf.
Well, yes. And apparently, though, if you're a past major champion, it's a standard invite from the Masters. They give you an invite to the tournament. Now, they don't necessarily give you, the access as if you're a current player, because I think last year when he was there, all they did was give him a badge. Like, I don't even think he was allowed inside the ropes, which normally, if you're a past player, you're allowed to walk a little closer to the action than we are. I actually think it's smart. And you and I like Greg, and you and I are interested in the whole LIV storyline. We find it interesting. Okay, most people find it disgusting, okay, and hate us for talking about it, but you and I find it interesting. I actually think the Masters made the right call.
I totally agree. They're not involved. They're not the PGA Tour. This isn't their fight. They extended the invitation to all the Live golfers who qualified under their rules. They didn't change any part of their invitation system because of this.
Now, it will be interesting to see if they alter their qualifying rules next year, because like Taylor Gooch is one of those players who just was in the top 50. when the World Golf Rankings ended at the end of last year. Well, he ain't going to be in the top 50 now because he's on the LIV Tour. He's not getting any points for any of the tournaments that he plays. Well, what if he wins 4 LIV events? What if he wins a major? Now, I will say if you win a major, you're automatically invited. But you know what I mean? What if he's got a couple of top 3s in majors? Okay, but he doesn't win any of them. If you're the Masters, do you invite him next year when he's not qualified?
No. They'll stick to their same criteria.
By the way, the word is that the LIV golfers, the European ones anyway, lost. And it's going to be announced today officially. Remember, they took on the DP World Tour, the former European Tour, and they want to be able to play in DP World Tour events. And the DP World Tour is like, no, our feeling is like the PGA Tour. No, you chose LIV. You can't play on our tour. And those guys got an injunction which allowed them to play the rest of last season in DP World Tour events. Well, it went to an arbiter, and the arbiter's apparently siding with the DP World Tour. So these guys now, it looks like, won't be able to play on the PGA Tour or the European Tour.
If they lose all of these, I wonder how well or how many of them stay after their 3 or 4 year deals are up.
Well, and then the question becomes, will they be allowed back?
Would you allow them back without having to qualify?
Yeah, I would. I mean, to me, listen, if you give it's like giving someone a jail sentence. You got to do 3 years. At the end of 3 years, you're released.
But what kind of status are you going to give them? Are you going to give them full status and take someone's status away from them? How do you put them back on the tour? Because they will have lost a lot of them will have lost all of their status. Some will have it based on wins and other things.
I mean, come on. We all know that they're tour quality, though. I mean, there'll be very few of these guys who are not tour quality. I mean, most of them were top 50, top 70 players in the world. I'd let them back in. Even if I had to, for the first year, put an asterisk next to them, I wouldn't keep any of the top 125 out, if you know what I mean. Maybe I'd allow, 6, 8 extras and say, hey, you got to keep your status. We're grandfathering you back in. It only lasts a year. Good luck.
Miller and Moulton. The text line is open at 21,000. Your thoughts on this year's Masters. We'll talk some NFL coming up with Dalton Miller as well. Thanks so much for listening right here. Miller and Moulton, where else but the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, we almost had a poll question yesterday. Do you remember what it was?
Oh boy, it was late in the show too. Wasn't it egg salad versus
Yes.
pimento and cheese?
Yes, it was, David.
I'm a Caddyshack guy, Paul. I'm sorry. It's stupid and all that. I love it. Absolutely loved it.
Frozen 4 start tonight too?
Yes.
Did you see Varner's comments?
Yep.
All right, switching back.
Look at you, bad golfer. Although I did like the Costner golf movie there. Was it a Tin Cup? I enjoyed that.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network to join us in a little more than 15 minutes. Whit Watson, as we continue our Masters preview, will join us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. I cannot believe it's just the two of us, and I could break into song here, but it's just Miller and Moulton. Young Felipe, he just decided to take a week-long vacation, even though we don't have the staffing to replace him. And, well, he didn't ask. He just took it. So, we'll see if he has a gig Thursday of next week. But for right now, he's still our producer. But Mark is filling in. All right. Mark is co-host / producer. And I think, by the way, for the next week, I would just put executive producer next to your title. Exactly. You could throw in a little Cousteau accent or whatever else you want to do there.
Hoi polloi.
Well, especially with that mustache you got going. There's a lot of different routes you could go for the next week.
My wife asked me why I needed to draw more attention to myself. She looks at this mustache as a cry for me for attention.
And you said, because in my household, I rank below the fish.
And we don't even have fish.
Exactly.
I am persona non grata in the family. I have been helping out. I coach my daughter's softball team, U8 softball team. And usually my job when they're at bat, because there's a bunch of assistant coaches, but I'm literally behind home plate helping shag balls. It's a pitching machine. It's a mess. It's little kid softball.
Right.
Cute. That's as best you can go. Every once in a while there's a good play, and I get excited for either team. I'm rooting for both teams to make good plays and just hit the ball. And last night, my daughter, I'm coaching third. My daughter ends up on third base, literally looks over at me and says, "Would you please shave that?"
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. And of course, I can't believe she doesn't know you well enough to realize that every time one of them comments, it adds a day to the life of the mustache.
Easter Sunday, and we go to church and all that, and I had promised that I would shave for Easter. I really want to take that promise back.
Mulligan, since we're talking a lot of golf, you want a mulligan, do you?
Exactly. But from third base looked at me and said, "Please shave that thing."
And meanwhile, if you realize, wait a minute, is the mustache embarrassing you? Oh, well then, heck, I may extend it to a goatee. Please, if that's the case. But, Mark had said, listen, I'm barely going to get us on and off the air, all right? And, just hope I turn the microphones on and off when I'm supposed to. Don't ask anything else of me. And all of a sudden, during the break, Mark goes, "Hey, how about a poll question?" I'm like, wait, that's extra, executive producer.
But we had one yesterday, and it was a little Masters-esque, kind of, sort of, because we were going through the concession prices at Augusta.
And they are glorious.
And they're dirt cheap.
You're right.
Dirt cheap. Sandwiches are $3, with the exception of the pimento cheese, which is still like $1.50, right?
Right, because it's horrendous.
Well, no, it's not. And stop it. I like you. I don't want to yell at you this early in the morning over something as simple as a cheese sandwich. Because a pimento cheese sandwich is glorious.
Terrible. Continue.
So we simply have a poll question up because it's between the two kind of off the beaten path sandwiches are the pimento cheese sandwich and the egg salad sandwich. The rest of them are all normal sandwiches. So what is your master sandwich, egg salad or pimento cheese? It's a hard-hitting sports poll question today, David.
I like it. So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com.
Did you see Harold Varner talk to the Washington Post?
Yes, he did.
What tour is he on?
He would be on the LIV golf tour. Correct.
Let me read you the quote as best I can.
I was going to say, make sure you clean it up.
They're full of blank. When asked about the circuit's effort to improve the game, he said they're full of blank. They're growing their pockets. I tell them all the time, all of them, you didn't come here to blank and grow the blank and game. And he added, the tour has made it where they say it's not about the money. I don't care what anyone says. It's about the damn money.
Now, if I can play the role of Greg Norman for a second, I'm 90+% in total agreement with Varner. What Norman and them are trying to sell is they're trying to sell this whole team thing. They think this is the future. They think people like this. They think people like watching it. They also think if they're going to have like a Japanese team and an Australian team and a South African team, that people in those parts of the world are actually going to get into this. And this is very much from the cricket model. This apparently is huge in a good chunk of the rest of the world. And this is what cricket did. And it's worked big. And they're trying to follow in its footsteps.
That's fine. But
Right.
the growing the game thing is
right.
Trying to grow that tour. I mean, if they can get the team thing to take off, maybe this tour takes off around the rest of the world. It's tough for me. I mean, I wish they would just name the teams that instead of the four aces and the sandbaggers and the,
right.
Chips,
High
dip,
flyers, right.
and all that stuff. I don't.
Chips and salsa, right. Yes. I mean, I wish it would be just Team DeChambeau. Okay, so I could at least know, okay, I know one of the guys on that team. And then if the other three guys are wearing his colored shirt, I guess they're on that team. Apparently, these guys are going to wear their team stuff at the Masters. And I'm like, yeah, who's going to know? I mean, honestly, who the hell knows what you... I mean, by the way, can't wear shorts. How are they going to handle, by the way? They have to tee off one. They're not used to that. I mean, most all of them never tee off one first. They're teeing off somewhere else.
What do you
Shotgun
mean?
start.
We don't have a 1 o'clock shotgun for this thing?
Wait a minute. I can't wear shorts. I'm playing 4 days instead of 3. No shotgun start? What the hell kind of a tournament is this? One that counts.
We're going to play 4 rounds. There's going to be a cut. This is going to be very strange for all of you.
Wait, a cut? What the heck? I will say, though, there's only 88 guys. I mean, they're looking around going, there's not many more golfers than we're used to.
And we get full points for this, too.
Right. So that's our poll question, right? Pimento and cheese or egg salad?
Exactly.
If egg salad loses, this will be, it's a good thing we're not going to have a show tomorrow if egg salad loses, because I would be distraught.
I think egg salad will lose and lose big.
Oh, first off, who's had a pimento and cheese?
I've had hundreds of them. They're delicious. And I hate egg salad. Hate egg salad. The smell of it just leaves a lot to be desired.
I had never seen pimento and cheese on a menu anywhere except at the Masters. I don't ever recall seeing it offered to me at a restaurant.
Well, you've spent most of your time in the Northeast, and you've never lived in the South. I mean, to be brutally honest, you're now in the South. I would imagine there are places in the Jackson, and I'm not being a smart aleck. You are much closer to the South now than you ever were when you were 200 miles south of where you live.
I understand, but I've lived in Florida for 23 years. I've traveled the South extensively for nearly 20 years now. I mean, I've never seen it on a menu.
I'm surprised it hasn't made the media room at one of these SEC games, to be brutally honest with you.
I don't think it has. If it has, I ignored it. Miller and Moulton. Dalton Miller will switch gears. We'll talk football next with Watson talking Masters, top of the hour on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So did you post that poll question? I found it.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Whit Watson, Golf Channel, ESPN Plus, NBC Sports. He'll join us at the top of the hour as we continue our Masters talk. Someone, by the way, who I think is interrupting all his draft prep to be knee-deep in the Masters is Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter, Dalton, the letter B, Miller, Dalton B. Miller. So how much work are you going to get done between now and Sunday afternoon? Reading you on Twitter, this is the biggest thing you got going in your life. The hell with the draft.
Some tape in between shots, but I am not going to miss a shot of the Masters that is being broadcast. It is my Super Bowl outside of the Super Bowl.
All right, before we get into the draft talk, who are you picking to win and who are you rooting for?
I lived in Dallas for 6 years. I caddied at Trinity Forest Golf Club, the home club or one of the home clubs for Jordan Spieth. I always say that Jordan Spieth is going to win the Masters until he can no longer pick up a golf club and keep it straight, which, is never a guarantee with Jordan. I am going to pick him to win the Masters every year.
And then most importantly, with that note, I put up a poll question, because I did not see your Twitter. I was all fired up for draft talk. All right, pimento cheese or egg salad? Which one you going with?
Oh, pimento cheese, 100%. I love myself a pimento cheese sandwich. They one of the golf clubs in Dallas actually had them, and they were $2. Everything else was $6-7 there, so I would slam them at the turn. So I'm definitely a pimento cheese guy.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com. Vote. All right. Your Masters sandwich of choice, pimento cheese or egg salad. Pimento cheese out to an early lead. Okay. In all honesty, the draft's 3 weeks from tonight. When is your draft board done?
Oh, this year my draft board probably won't be done until the Wednesday before, because I got a late start. Switching from the draft focus that I was doing up until about 2 years ago, I would have had it done already, and I'd be working on my draft guide by now. But I didn't even get to start watching guys until after the Super Bowl. So I'm playing full catch-up mode right now, trying to get as many evaluations done as possible so I can be as knowledgeable as possible. Hopefully, I'll be able to get into it a little bit earlier going forward, because the NFL draft is my one true love when it comes to football. I love covering the NFL, but if I can do some draft stuff in between that, that's where the sweet spot would be.
All right, Dalton. One of the things in your latest mock draft is you have Indianapolis moving up one spot to 3. How much of the talk of Tennessee moving up is going to force Indianapolis's hand in your estimation?
Yeah, for me, it really just kind of comes down to if they're okay with Will Levis, or if they really want to move up and get Anthony Richardson. I don't think Levis will be the pick at 3. So if they're okay with Levis, or if they even want Levis, because we've seen reports that they are happy with Will Levis in his evaluation. So if they're fine with that, they'll stick at 4. I personally wouldn't be. And so for me, I would want to do everything that I could to make sure I get Anthony Richardson, because I do think a team is going to trade up to 3 to go up and get him. I think that I would just rather it be me than anybody else.
You believe that these two quarterbacks, Levis and/or Richardson, are worthy of this kind of movement, this kind of, quite frankly, slobbering over?
Yeah, I think Richardson is. I actually shot a little video, short thing for PFM that should be out on, all the TikTok and Twitter and all them, about Anthony Richardson and why I believe in his upside. And it's because of what we've seen. There's different kinds of upside and there's different kinds of issues when it comes to mechanical issues. Talk to Frank Reich. He actually loves Anthony Richardson's upper body, thinks that his upper body mechanics are fantastic. The way that he throws the ball, the way that he sets his shoulders is fantastic. It's the lower body that he needs to figure out. That's a very fixable thing. We've seen guys like Josh Allen, we've seen guys like Dak Prescott really work on that in the offseason, get the reps in, and become more accurate passers as time goes on. He is naturally accurate. When things are good, when he has everything underneath of him, he's an accurate enough passer to get the job done. And then you put on top of that all the physical abilities that he has, and you're looking at somebody who, with upside, can be one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. And when it comes to the mental side of things, we've seen flashes of a very good process with him, but he had such little time on the field that you don't get to see it consistently because he doesn't have the time on task to really have things nailed down. I think if you get him on the field, you get him going, you get him reps, and I think, 2-3 years down the road, you're looking at a guy who made a jump like Josh Allen did.
How much of your evaluation and hope for Richardson is tied to Josh Allen, and how much of it is tied to Jalen Hurts? Like when we were watching Jalen in the Super Bowl last year, we thought he was making Anthony Richardson a ton of money because, Hurts had a lot of questions about his ability to throw the ball in between the numbers. And when he was drafted, Bill Polian said he should be a wide receiver. How much do you look at Richardson and see Josh Allen, or in how much do you see Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, so I actually don't think too much about Jalen Hurts when I think about Anthony Richardson. I think about a mixture of Josh Allen and Justin Fields. I think that he's big and physical, like Josh Allen is as a runner. I think that he actually takes less hits than Josh Allen does. I think Josh Allen invites contact too much, and it's going to probably end up shortening his career like Cam Newton. That's kind of a hot take that I have about Josh Allen. When it comes to Richardson, I think that he takes fewer hits, which is something that Jalen Hurts does do very well. But I think his game is more similarly styled to Justin Fields with his ability to make guys miss, even ahead of his size, which is ridiculous, and then having the long feet. When I look at Jalen Hurts, especially, as a runner with Jalen Hurts, I look at someone who could legitimately be a very good running back in the NFL because his vision is outstanding. It's outrageous. And the way that he runs the option is unbelievable. So I think he's a little bit different player, but I do think seeing somebody or seeing an offense like the Philadelphia Eagles that can really lean on the QB run game and not just Jalen Hurts running the ball, but the threat of his legs to open up the rest of the run game. Just think about Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson, two guys who are both over 225 pounds running 4.4s in the backfield. It's just a ridiculous thing when you think of the big play potential that run game could have. And when you look at the run game at the NFL level, you need the explosive plays. You need those explosive runs because 3 yards in a cloud of dust doesn't do much for you anymore.
When you look at Hendon Hooker, what do you see? What are the problems you see? Is it obviously the knee, he's 25. When you see the whole picture, how do you assess Hendon Hooker?
So I really like Hendon Hooker as a prospect. The way that he throws the ball, I think he's got a really quick, snappy release. I think he's got more than enough arm strength. I think he's more naturally accurate than Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. I really like the way he throws the ball. I think he's a pretty good athlete. I look at him more similarly to Jalen Hurts than I do Anthony Richardson. But that offense in Tennessee really clouds his evaluation because he will see completely different concepts at the NFL level than he did at Tennessee. And on top of that, he had two really good wide receivers in Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt at Tennessee. He was able to just kind of throw the ball downfield to guys that were wide open. It's going to get more difficult for him. It might take him time. Being 25, coming off an ACL, and having a learning curve could definitely rub some teams the wrong way and push his draft stock back. But if you're thinking a guy's going to play for 10 to 12 years as a starting quarterback, I think that's worth a mid to late first round pick.
All right, Jalen Carter has been, one of the stories of this draft. We obviously know all the incidents that happened, and we've talked about this a lot, but now Drew Rosenhaus didn't have a meet with anybody outside the top 10. What do you think of that move?
That means he's not going outside of the top 10. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think Philadelphia would let Jalen Carter slide unless more things come out about Jalen Carter. I just cannot see Howie Roseman passing on the opportunity to pair Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and the linebacker whose name escapes me right now, all from Georgia, or Dean. I think that would be fantastic. I think that in Sean Desai's system, he is somebody who could absolutely wreak havoc on the interior. When you look at the rest of that defensive line, they're getting older. Fletcher Cox is older. They lost Javon Hargrave. They have the edge guys to play with. They might double up in this draft on defensive line in the first round and just continue the run of their elite play on the D line for a long time.
Don't know what happened, David, but whatever you did, we can't hear a word you're saying. So you have to fix that. I'll hopefully, whatever you did there during our little timeout, you can come up with who's moving in the draft. When you look at other trades that are going out there, do you buy anything about Tennessee moving up? Do you think they take a quarterback? Where do you see Tennessee doing?
It's really interesting because I'm trying to figure out, and I'm always trying to figure out what Tennessee is doing, just because they do things differently. They're very Patriots-like in that respect. I could see them moving up and going to get a quarterback. I think that would probably be the smart thing to do. Or, if they are okay with Will Levis, they can hope that he falls down to them at 11. I think that they're actually in a kind of a good spot because they don't need to draft a quarterback because they will have Ryan Tannehill around this season at least. But I do think that if you want to look more towards the future, if you want to take this as the transition period, I think going up and getting your future at quarterback would be the smart thing to do.
You buy any of the talk that there's anybody other than the Jets for Aaron Rodgers?
No, not for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know where else he would go. I don't know who would really put up with him. And it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how this all plays out because as time continues to pass, we get closer to the draft. I think that's probably when it ends up happening. But, until then, you got to think about the Jets possibly moving up and getting a quarterback as well.
There's no doubt. And I think Mike Tannenbaum suggested Hooker for the Jets in the first round because they've got a plan for the future as well. And there are a lot of teams that are in that situation. Any big moves you expect, any trades that you see coming between now and the draft, any teams you're looking at to make a statement between now and 3 weeks from now?
I really wish that I had some. It's been so quiet around the NFL lately when it comes to the transaction side of things. I mean, we might get, a DeAndre Hopkins move, but they keep talking, Jonathan Gannon and that crew down there keep talking about him being a part of the team this year. I can't see it. I don't know who would trade for Austin Eckler, but that's a contract that I would try to get, and it depends on what the Chargers would be looking for from a draft perspective. But if you can get him for a day 3 pick and you're a contending team, I would use a 4th or a 5th rounder to go and get him for a year and then just kind of move on. But if you're a player away or you think you're a runner away from a legitimate run, I'm going out to try to get Austin Eckler because he brings everything to your offense that you need from a running back.
And finally, the Texas running back, how far there's teams, does he stick out of the first round, late in the first round? Where do you see him going?
I see him going mid to late first round, but there is a curveball. I could see the Patriots doing it at 14. I could see the Patriots trading back a little bit and doing it. It's just, you never know what Bill Belichick is going to do. He always goes against the grain. He doesn't care what we think about him or his strategies, and I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted Bijan at 14. I think he does a lot of really nice things. I think the thing that could push him down a little bit is that running back is a really good part of this draft class. There are a lot of really good runners in this class. So that, with the market being what it is, supply and demand, I think that he might fall a little bit longer. I can't really see him getting past Cincinnati, though.
He is Dalton Miller. Follow his work on Twitter. Dalton B. Miller, Dalton, the letter B, Miller with Pro Football Network. You can see his mock draft at PFN 365. Dalton, as always, thanks for your time. Take care. Enjoy the Masters.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Well, this will make for an interesting show because, as has been pointed out, our producer took a week's vacation. My co-host, somewhere in the middle of that interview, became unable to hear me and unable to hear our guest. And what's fun about the Twitch is I can see the full panic mode going on in David trying to set up whatever it is that has been messed up on his end. So we definitely have Whit Watson coming up at 8 o'clock. Other than that, you could hear me talking alone for a long time. We may have to hook up with David via phone, but we'll figure it all out coming up during the break. Whit Watson coming up on the other side. The text line is open. 21,000 is the number. Talking Masters. Answer our poll question as well. Pimento cheese or egg salad? Hard-hitting sports questions on Masters Thursday. Back with more on the other side. It's Miller and Moulton. How about that? Right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Can you hear me? No. Can't hear a thing. I hear you clicking in and out of it, but I don't hear you. Wait a minute.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, it's scratchy. You got to hold it.
How's that?
It's fine. You just got to be real still with it because when you move it around, it ticks.
Yeah, this thing's not a great. So this is weird. So once again, I asked Marty on Monday for the engineer's contact info because I was going to try to set up through the Comrex. I literally, with my headset, could not hear anything. I think that part of my headset, something's wrong with it. Something's gotten loose.
Just sent you the engineer's number that you wanted.
I think I'm going to have to go out and buy. I don't know if I need a new box or if I need new headsets. I think I need a new headset. So on the one headset, my microphone doesn't work. And now on the other headset, the being able to hear doesn't work. So that's good.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, the headset that I have that plugs into my Sirius Comrex, that's the one that when I plug into here, I can hear you, but the mic doesn't work.
All right, I'm switching back over.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're halfway home in the 239 Miller and Moulton on this Masters Thursday. The Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Whit Watson, he of NBC, the Golf Channel, PGA Tour Live, kind enough to join us once again. Follow Whit on Twitter at Real Whit Watson, Real Whit Watson. Whit, it's David and Mark. Top of the morning to you. How'd you enjoy Jack, Gary, and Tom?
I tell you what, the guys can still move it out there a little bit. I always love watching the honorary starters because there's always one of the three that actually cares where he hits it. And this time it was Watson. He was watching carefully after his tee shot to see if he could get it past Jack and Gary. So, yeah, always a lot of fun as we get things started this week.
All right. Well, did he?
I think he did. They never show you the Masters being the Masters. They never show you where the tee shots end up. They just focus on the starters and the appreciation of the patrons around the first tee. They don't want to embarrass these guys because, none of them are exactly mashing it these days. So But the way that Watson was looking after his tee shot, I think he got him.
You know, Whit, legend has it that Snead one year, cranked his first shot and, after they posed for the picture said, "Hey, do you mind if I just play?" And they went, "Yeah, don't tell anybody." And he went out and shot like 39 on the front and then called it a day.
It would not surprise me. There's so many legends about Sam Snead that, at the age of 70, he could still kick a light bulb in the ceiling from a standing start. He was an amazing athlete. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It is a tradition that I really enjoy watching, but it's also, it's kind of semi-sweet because you watch these guys and you get an idea of the fact that they're aging. Gary Player's in his 80s and Jack is 80 something, and this is not going to last forever. And you start thinking ahead to, okay, well, who's going to be next? If one of those men departs, who's going to replace him as an honorary starter? But it is a very sweet tradition that they do this at 7:45 in the morning on Thursday before the Masters.
All right, now that we're teeing off in large, what do you think this year? The weather obviously is going to be a big story. Who does it favor the most if the weather gets bad?
Players that are not as long will be helped if the golf course slows. And that's not my idea. That was actually Bernhard Langer who said that if it's wet, then the players that don't kill it, it kind of levels the field, right? Because part of the reason why the Masters is when the fairways and the greens get really racy. And if Augusta National had its way, then Sunday those greens would be on the edge of being burnt out. They would be a little brown by Sunday. It looks like that's not going to be the case. So it really kind of opens it up to maybe a Danny Willett type year where you've got somebody that isn't one of the favorites who can go post a score on Sunday, especially if the weather gets bad, and then just sit and wait for guys to fall apart. So I think it makes it a little more democratic this year in terms of who could win.
And it's one of the reasons why I went off the reservation, so to speak. I picked Justin Rose. He always plays well there, and he plays well when it's tough. And so he's won earlier this year. I'm taking a flyer. Does recent form, is that big with you heading into the Masters?
Yes and no. If a guy is not playing well coming into the Masters, I might pause. If he's playing great but doesn't have much of a track record around that golf course, I also have pause, because local knowledge is so important at this tournament, knowing where you can miss it and where you can't, when to go for it, when not to go for it. I would prefer a player that's had a little bit of form, but also has done something at Augusta before, which is why my guy this week is Jon Rahm. Because apart from last year, I think he was 27th last year, but the 4 years prior, he top 10 4 years in a row, and happens to be playing as well as anybody not named Scotty Scheffler right now. So I think a little bit of familiarity and a combination of form is probably the key.
Rory's putting has not been as good this year. How much do you think the green slowing down help Rory's cause?
Yeah, it would help him a lot, wouldn't it? The problem with Rory is just the history. Is that there's nobody in the field that is facing more pressure internally and externally to finally win this event than Rory McIlroy. And he's playing great. And he, Scheffler, and Rahm are the three guys that have separated themselves overwhelmingly as the favorites this week. But he's battling history. He hasn't won a major championship of any kind since 2014. And this is the event he needs to complete the career Grand Slam. And, I just was doing some research about this the other day for a podcast. You go back, and I know it's been 12 years, but you go back to 2011 when Schwartzel won by birdieing his final 4 holes. That was the year when Rory hit it to a place on 10 that nobody has ever seen before and shot 7 over in the final round. And does he still think about that? Probably not. But he's kind of battling his own internal demons this week, and everybody wants him to win. Everybody would love to see McIlroy get a green jacket. He deserves it at this point in his career. But if he's in contention on Sunday, what's going through his head? That's kind of my question. So it's going to be a battle for him internally.
And Whit, you wonder if the 2011 Masters is going to be his wing foot, if you know what I mean. Even though Phil finished second 3 or 4 more times in the U.S. Open and had glorious chances to win, none better than a one-shot lead on the 18T in 06 at wing foot. And you just never know with golf. We say, oh, Rory, he'll have plenty of chances and what have you. Well, here he is, 12 years later, and here he is 9 years later, having not won a major. And Whit, we've seen many an elite golfer get about a year or two older than Rory and never win a major again.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody would have thought in 2014 that he was done. I mean, you were looking at that run and thinking, this is going to be if not a Tiger Woods major career, it's going to be at least a Tom Watson or an Arnold Palmer major career, somewhere between 7 and 9 major championships, maybe 10. And then he just went blank since 2014. So, yeah, it's a funny game. I mean, that's why we watch, is to see if these guys, it's not so much does he have the game. We know he has the game. He's playing beautifully right now, and he's been a generational talent for over a decade. But this is the thing. This is that crusade that he's just not been able to complete. And that's why I think so many eyes are going to be on him for the next 4 days.
Dustin Johnson made some news when he said he was going to lay up at 13 because the tee shot's too hard. He cuts the ball, and you're going to have to draw it now. When you look at 13, is it going to be a question of someone having to make the right shot off the tee, or is Dustin a little off and that a lot of these players will still be going for it in 2?
That's crazy, isn't it? They paid $30 million for 30 extra yards on one tee at a par 5. Yeah, it definitely, I understand the idea. They want to make it a par 5 again. They want to bring it back to the original design and the intention of the hole. And if Dustin Johnson says he's not going for it, then there's not going to be a lot of guys that go for it because not many hit it as well as he does. I don't mind. I didn't mind it being a 2-shot hole. I liked the drama, and it didn't bother me they were hitting 6 irons into a par 5, but it obviously bothered somebody at Augusta National. And for those who don't know the full story, they negotiated with the neighboring Augusta Country Club for years, decades, trying to acquire land that belonged to Augusta Country Club to be able to lengthen that tee. And they finally got it done to the tune of somewhere between $20 and $30 million to buy that land. They also had to pay to reconfigure Augusta Country Club's golf course just to push that tee back. So, okay, and now you've got a par 5. I'm not sure what it changes or I'm not sure if it's an improvement, but it's different. And it's something that players are going to have to contend with for the first time this week.
And to think they didn't even raise the price of the pimento cheese sandwiches.
No, still, and they're still free in the press building. That's even better.
Hey, it's funny. This is our, 5th, 6th Masters interview we've done on this show this week. And Scheffler's name comes up, but that's about it. I got to admit, Whit, he's not Tiger Phil Seve in his short game. But right now, if I had to get up and down to win, I'd hand the club to Scottie Scheffler. His short game since last year's Masters is staggering to me.
Yeah, again, when it's Augusta, you look at the stats and then you kind of push them off to the side and consider the moment. And what Scheffler's trying to do isn't done in history. There have been 3 players in the 86-year history of the Masters that have gone back-to-back. And they're all one-name guys. Jack, Faldo, Tiger. Only 3 players that have ever gone back-to-back to win a green jacket. So history doesn't favor him. But his current form, the short game, everything about his game right now is just on song. He's playing wonderfully. But it just doesn't happen very much that you win back-to-back Masters. So, does that matter? It matters in the context of this tournament is different. And like I said, you can look at form, but you also have to look at history. And even though he won last year, in that sense, the history doesn't favor him. There's a much greater chance it's going to be somebody else in the field.
You had mentioned the field coming back together because of the weather. Is there someone off the beaten path that you like this week?
There's a couple of guys that I looked at. I mean, and again, he's not terribly off the beaten path. He's just not talked about. Cameron Smith won the Players and the British Open last year, and he's completely under the radar this week because he jumped to the Live Series. And, you know, as I was telling somebody else, he's not dead. He's just getting paid somewhere else. He's still the same player. He just hasn't gotten a lot of reps. That's a player that I think could make a run this week. Kurt Kitayama is kind of a sleeper pick that a lot of folks have been talking about, a very gritty 30-year-old world traveler who's played a lot of different tours. He won the Arnold Palmer Invitational here in Orlando, and it's a brutal golf course at Bay Hill. And I think that's why some people kind of look at him as, oh, he can tackle tough conditions. He can handle long golf courses. And then Jordan Spieth. I mean, would you be surprised if he shot 65 in the first round? Would you be surprised if he shot 80 in the first round? Either one is equally possible. But this is a place that he obviously loves and knows how to get around. So maybe those are three guys that I would look at that have not been favored coming into the week, but maybe could make some noise.
Whit Watson, Golf Channel, NBC Sports, PGA Tour Live on ESPN Plus. Follow him on Twitter, Real Whit Watson, Real Whit Watson. Whit, thanks for making time for us. Enjoy the Masters.
You too. Have a great week, guys.
Whit Watson joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Remember, we're off tomorrow. Miller Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official Miller and Moulton morning show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You trying that again? David? 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 I am talking, and I can't hear a word you're saying. No, I cannot hear you. Hello? Check 1 2 1 2 3 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One. Hello, 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 hello. No, I can't hear you. Now I can hear you. Oh,
Hello, hello.
yep. You don't have a mic stand, do you?
I don't think so. Actually,
You got 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Are you trying that mic out right now?
does that work?
Yes.
Hello, hello. You can still hear me?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know, this week has been the reason why you should take in the show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. Because if you want to see behind the scenes drama involving a live radio show, this has been the week. First, it was Mark in our Southwest Florida studios. The studio wasn't working to start the week, couldn't get any sound out of it. I'm doing the first segment of the week by myself. Then we're figuring things out on the fly. At the same time, Mark also has to learn how to become executive producer of the show because Felipe's just getting up and leaving town for a week, even though nobody gave him the time off. He just took it.
It is something that, we can talk behind his back and he can listen to the show whenever he wants, because you can take in the show via Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, and it's up there forever, as well as all the places that the podcast exists, plus floridasportsnetwork.com. But he literally, his parents hassled him about going on a vacation. And his answer to his parents was, yes, I'll go on the vacation, and never asked permission from his employers. Never. That is basically the new generation we're dealing with.
I'm going on vacation, and listen, I don't have anybody to fill in for me, and I'll see you next Thursday.
And told me at the end when he couldn't find anybody, but, well, Mark, I can teach you. You can learn this. You can do it. It'll be easy. Don't worry about it.
So Mark has got us on the air today. And I will say, you haven't fallen asleep during the segment.
Not once.
You haven't missed a cue. So, of course, Mark was very nervous this morning. Up earlier than normal, in earlier than normal, plugged in earlier than normal. I'm lucky if I plug in before 10 to 6. Mark at 5:30 was like, can you plug in now? I need to know that this stuff works. So Mark's on edge.
Yes, I am.
Right. But we're doing fine. We're having a fun show. We're talking about the Masters memories. We've got a poll question. Mark even put up a poll question.
Well, that has me a little honked off right now, because egg salad for the first time today has taken a slight lead over pimento cheese. Oh, in the honor of the Masters, what sandwich are you choosing, pimento cheese or egg salad? I did have a friend of mine text me, David, who lived here and now lives in South Carolina and listens to the show, takes it in online. He says, you can get pimento cheese on your fillets here. It's so popular. He lives in Greenville, South Carolina.
So now, of course, I stated I'm 57 years old. I've lived in Florida 23 years. I've been traveling the South for 20 years. And I claim that I have never seen pimento cheese anywhere but on the grounds at Augusta. And I am being told you could go to your local Publix and get it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I've never seen it. Now, of course, I will probably see it everywhere I go.
But you will not order it. We know that for sure.
No, I don't like it. I'm glad it was only $1.50. So getting back to Mark's stress and the show and how it's going and all that. So the one thing Mark needs from me today is do your damn job. Okay. Be there, be dependable. Don't mess around. Do your job. Yeah, we're midway through talking to Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network about an hour ago, and my equipment stops working.
Mid-interview.
I can't hear Dalton at all. So I'm signaling to Mark, you got to take it. I can't hear him. I don't know when he's stopping talking. I don't know what he's saying. And I'm plugging a new headset in, and apparently I could now hear Dalton, but the mic on that headset won't work with the equipment that I have. And, I can't do this on the air while we're doing the interview. So Mark's got to finish the segment before we get Whit Watson on. It's like, is this working? No. Does this work? No. So I kind of find a long mic cord and an old stick mic.
Yeah. Where did you steal that microphone from?
Yeah, it's old. The scratches on this microphone. This is an old microphone. This might be as old as my oldest shirt. That's how old this microphone is.
And it's definitely stolen from somewhere. It's not a microphone you bought. It's something that ended up with you, whether it was when we were at this place originally, at the last place, but that's something from a remote that ended up in a bag. There's no doubt in my mind that is.
Thank you.
That is the same. David Sampson steals things from the White House. We steal things from radio stations we used to work at.
Totally, in which we weren't necessarily setting up and taking down the remotes. And at the end, we look and there's a microphone and a cord laying there and look around. Is this yours? No. Well, it's mine now. So, yeah. So I've got 2 bags worth of equipment from remotes that were not broken down properly over the last 25 years. So remember Act 2 when we were doing the show from our respective bedrooms during the pandemic?
Right.
You had helped set me up in equipment and a mic stand and a big,
And David, I hate to tell it to you, but your big mic right now is cutting in and out. So I don't know if the cords are not connected, but literally in the speech about you having the microphone not working, your microphone quit working.
So how is that?
Now we're better.
Okay. So here's the deal. The mic is great. The stand is great. The cord is loose. So I'm going to have to tape the cord, So this is, remember, all Mark needs is for me to just be normal. Have your act together. Have you work, have everything work. Hit your damn cues, throw it to break, try not to eat on the air. Okay? That's all I need out of you today. And I can't do any of it. Everything is breaking around me, as evidenced by 30 seconds ago, when even my glorious mic has a cord that doesn't fit it properly. I am a train wreck on the one day that Mark needs me to be a solid professional.
And the one thing I need all of you to do is to vote for pimento cheese sandwich. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. That's where it is. It is a poll question unlike any other, because once again, I love it when we put a poll question up that's as insignificant as this question, and David announces that if I don't win this poll question, I didn't know that poll questions were meant to be won or lost, but if I don't win this poll question, it's really going to bother me. And the fact that we have tomorrow off, it will bother you for the whole weekend.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I was hoping you'd leave it up through Masters weekend, but I know you put the 24-hour limit on these questions. So, and
it's just laziness on my part. There's more work to be done to have it go longer, and I wasn't in the mood.
And of course, since it doesn't involve sports, we'll get a tremendous response.
Always do.
Yep. There you have it. So I apologize to you, Mark, co-host, executive producer of Miller and Moulton, and engineer extraordinaire, because I have brought nothing to the table. Absolutely nothing. I've been unable to even hold up my third of the bargain. Forget half, third. I'm sorry. But it's the Masters. I mean, how upset with me can you be? At 10 o'clock, you'll forget about me. You'll forget about everything. We won't talk till Monday.
Text just came in that said, David, this is proof that these 4 days should be a national holiday. Even David's mic took the day off.
Here's the funny thing, though. It's kind of like in a car when things start breaking, and then you finally get it to the mechanic, and he's like, what's wrong? Well, I got to be honest with you. It could be any one of 3 or 4 things. I don't know. Could be all 3 or 4 things. I don't know. I don't know if it's the little box I plug into. I don't know if it's the headsets into the box. I don't know if it's the cord coming from the box into the microphone. It could be all 3. After all, it's my equipment. And it's all old, and it's been through a lot.
Couple of picks for Jordan Spieth on our guests coming in. Whit Watson likes Jordan Spieth. Dalton Miller, who's a big Masters fan, even though he was coming on to talk NFL, he worked at the course that Jordan played, so he's picking Jordan Spieth. I like the comment that Whit said. Would you be surprised if he shot 65, and would you be surprised if he shot 80?
But I would be surprised if he avoided a 75 in amongst the 4 days. That's the problem. I don't know if he can win majors anymore, because he seems good for one poor round of tournament. Tough to win a major with one poor round, especially nowadays. He's got a great scoring average at that course, though. Should have gone back-to-back. I mean, let's be honest. After winning in 2015, should have won in 2016 and flat blew it.
Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Coming up with more. Still got a little time left on the show today in the syndicated area. Check us out. Text the show, 21,000, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, I found a different chord.
Yeah, it's if it doesn't plug in, I know exactly what you're talking about because you got need something that clicks in there really good. Are you plugging in a new chord or are you keeping that one?
No, this is the new chord.
This is the new one? Okay, you sound great.
So apparently the other headset, the microphone works. I can't hear anything. This headset goes with my Comrex. This is the one that I can hear you with, but the mic won't work for whatever reason. Okay, because it works on my Comrex.
Right.
It works fine. So I'm using my Comrex's headset, and I'm using the mic and the stand and the cord that I found from when we used to broadcast from our bedrooms. So I honestly, I don't know. Is it my box? Is it my headset?
David, I have no idea.
I'm like, do I have to replace all three? I don't really have that kind of money.
I'm exhausted. That last segment just wore me out. This last hour, I was doing great. That last hour has really worn me out. Didn't even know we were good. If you wouldn't have tapped, I'd have just kept talking through break, David. All right, I'm switching us back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes before the hour." It's been this kind of a show. Every time I talk, we both hesitate to see whether or not my mic is working. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Missed any part of the show? It's actually been a pretty fun show. Looking ahead and looking back about the Masters all at the same time. When we say the Masters, what is it that you think of? And if you think of Tiger, well, which one of the 5 do you think of? You think of the first one? You think of the chip in your life in 05? Do you think 01 when he won the Tiger Slam? The Masters was his 4th of 4 in a row? Or do you think of the last one 4 years ago? So
what I've been thinking of is I was going to start that segment by lip syncing into the microphone just to see how much panic I would cause you on the other side. You're going through that whole thing, and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm going, should I just lip sync for 5 seconds and see what type of panic I give one David Moulton?
Wait, what? He can't hear me? No, not again. So 21,000's our text line. When we say the Masters, what is it that you think of? And if many of you will say Tiger, well, it could be a little more specific. I mean, he won it 5 times. You know, it's just like Jack. He won it 6. Most people only think about one of them.
Matthew McLean is your leader, an amateur, birdied the first hole. So for a moment in time, this young man can say, I was leading the Masters.
Don't you have to dig your phone out of your golf bag and say to your caddy when you're walking down 2, when we get to the second green, take a picture of the scoreboard? You know, try to be sly about it, but, you know, give me the sand wedge or give me the putter and I'll walk ahead. You just take the damn picture.
Just get me a picture of that scoreboard with my name on top. No doubt. No doubt. As just a few groups are off, so not much going on in the early parts of Augusta right now. But one young man, an amateur, birdieing the first hole, so he has his moment in the sun. At least, well, the moment in the spotlight. I don't know how much sun there's going to be in Augusta this week.
So, first off, Tyreek Hill's apparently come out and said he's going to play out his contract and retire. He's got 3 years left. All right. So, whatever. Take it for what it's worth. Like a Dolphin fan can think about life in 2026 right now. Could we win a playoff game, please? Could we actually contend for something meaningful? That would be awesome. After that, you could do whatever you want. Did you see Cam Newton's interview yesterday?
I read the highlights. I did not see the interview.
I love Cam. I do. I've always loved him. Going back to 2010 in Auburn. I just have. All right. And the thing I loved about him was he was on a team that had 24 seniors, 4th and 5th year seniors. And he walked onto that team and he took that team over in 4 minutes. That team would have walked on hot coals for him. It was awesome to see because needless to say, we did a lot of Auburn games that year. So, Cam tried out at the Auburn Pro Day a couple of weeks ago. He wants back in the league. He didn't play last year. Doesn't want his career to be over. And he came out and said, listen, I'll be a backup. But he went further than that, Mark. He
listed the guys who he would back up.
So he's willing to back up Deshaun.
Yep.
Sam Howell. That's an interesting choice.
Well, that's because he knows he could play if he's backing up. There's a handful of guys. I mean, if you look at the list, it's so interesting. It's a handful of good teams where he would be the backup, and then the rest of them are all jobs that I think he believes that he would take over at some point.
Right. Sam Howell is Washington, correct? He said Malik Willis, which is interesting. Tennessee hasn't moved on from Tannehill yet. So Cam thinks that that's apparently happening June 1st or whatever. And so, but he said he'd back up Fields in Chicago. He'd back up Tua. He'd back up Josh. I'm assuming that means Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. He'd back up Jalen Hurts. He'd back up Lamar. Of course, you beg the question, where?
Didn't know he wanted to go to Indianapolis.
He'll back up Aaron Rodgers. Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton in New York? Boy.
He also said he'd back up C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Anthony Richardson.
Right. So he'll back up 3 rookies. So apparently he's willing to go to Carolina, Houston, and then wherever. Apparently, though, the other guys not interested in backing him up.
Right.
Mahomes, not interested. Carr, not interested.
Hey, Jared Goff, not interested. Detroit doesn't even, I don't even know if they have a backup quarterback on their roster right now.
Kirk Cousins, not interested. Nope. Daniel Jones, not interested. Although the Giants have Tyrod Taylor under contract.
Bengals, not interested.
No. Joe Burrow, not interested in backing him up. Which is
Jags, not interested.
Right. So that's interesting. He wants back in the league. He wants a job, but he basically limited himself to, I'll only go to like half the league. I mean, the other guys, I don't want a job that badly.
Well, I like the fact that he said that there's a false narrative about his comments that there aren't 32 players better than him. I don't know how there could be a false narrative, Cam. You were the one that said it.
Right.
How can there be a false narrative from you about a quote that you gave?
No, I think it's a fair point. At the beginning of this season, are there 32 quarterbacks? Is every starting quarterback better than Cam Newton? At this stage of his career, the answer could very well be yes. I mean, after all, this would be year 13 or year 12. He didn't play last year, but he'll be 13 years removed from Auburn. He was the number 1 pick of the 2011 draft.
Any of these places, do you think they should sign him?
Well, I'd like to wait until after the draft, to be honest. All right. Just because, I am curious what Tennessee's going to do. Are they sticking with Tannehill and the big cap hit, and they're not drafting a quarterback? So Malik Willis is the backup. Because remember, they lost Dobbs, who started the playoff game against Jackson, or not the playoff game, but the last game of the regular season, which was essentially a playoff game. Dobbs played pretty well in that game. I mean, they had the lead late till the sack fumble.
Which, by the way, I'm not a Tannehill guy like you are. If they dump Tannehill, he'll be available as a free agent for about 30 seconds.
Will he, though?
I think, yeah, because there's too many teams that still need a quarterback.
Well, I would think somebody like Indianapolis would be thrilled, not knowing what it is they're going to do with the draft and what have you. But obviously, Ryan Tannehill could come in and start for them right away. Right away. But Mark, let's just say he's a June 1st casualty. Well, if you don't have a quarterback right now, you're probably going to, in the next 3 weeks, settle that situation. And then all of a sudden, Tannehill becomes available on June 1st. It's like, oh, blank. Kind of wish I knew this on April 1st. Now I'm stuck. What do you do with Ryan Tannehill becomes available? You're Washington. You willing to sign him and put him ahead of Sam Howell?
I would be, personally.
But didn't they sign a backup quarterback?
They did.
I mean, is that where Dalton ended up?
Believe you're right.
And so they're like, well, we already went, the veteran guy. We gave him money. They let Heineke go.
Brissett they signed.
Oh, they signed Jacoby Brissett instead. Now, Tannehill's better, but we made our move. Don't know what to tell you. Now, I would like to think that Tampa Bay would go, oh, but then again, they signed Baker.
They signed Baker.
If you're Atlanta, you still committed to the Cincinnati kid, Desmond Ridder. You announced him as your starter, and you brought Heineke in at $10 million a year for a short-term backup. So my guess is you are committed to Ridder. I mean, that's the problem here. Where's the job going to be available? Carolina's clearly drafting their quarterback of the future. Clearly. Houston, in all likelihood, is doing it also. I mean, where's the gig going to be? Do the Vikings trade Cousins to San Francisco, which apparently was being kicked around at the combine, and Minnesota go the Ryan Tannehill route?
Maybe you're right. Maybe Arizona has to jump on Tannehill to fill in until, I don't know if they have the money to invest in that.
So it is interesting, the places that Cam mentioned. And, if you're Philadelphia, unless I missed something, you lost your backup. You lost Minshew. They signed a backup. You're a power running team. I mean, would Cam be the worst backup quarterback?
Well, I think whoever drafts Richardson should look at signing Cam Newton, really and truly.
So, just found it interesting. Cam Newton listing places in which he'd go, listen, I think I'd be a good backup here. Huh. I mean, I'll say this. If his shoulder's healthy, I do think he's one of the 64 best and has a spot in the league. I do. But the last time we saw him.
Such a big if, David, because he's not throwing the ball accurately. In his last couple of years playing, he couldn't hit an open receiver. So
well, he didn't have the arm strength for sure. And his mechanics have never been great. And at this stage of his career, he's not getting any more accurate.
But I think there are a few spots that they wouldn't do much better than Cam Newton as their backup. But again, it's all on the shoulder, and to see how that is. Miller and Moulton, 21,000 is the text line. We've been asking you all day your thoughts when we say the Masters. What is it you're thinking of as the Masters is underway this morning? Lots of weather, bad weather expected throughout the week. We'll hopefully hold off on that. And the most important thing of the day is our poll question. Let's be really honest here. In honor of the Masters, which sandwich are you choosing, pimento cheese or egg salad? It is a tight battle. It'll go right down to the wire. Right now, pimento cheese with 51.8% of the vote, David.
Wow, we picked a good one. And we're both taking it personally as well. I like it.
Difference is I'll be having a pimento cheese sandwich today watching the Masters. I don't think you're whipping up egg salad.
No, but I can buy it. In fact, there's even a convenience store that has good egg salad sandwiches. Jacksonville's got like their version of a Wawa. It's called Gate. And so they make fresh sandwiches. They make fresh egg salad every day.
Boy, it must smell lovely there.
Actually, it smells fine. Listen, you know I'm the wrong person to ask about smell. I mean, this honker may be big, but it doesn't work.
That's what it is. That's the reason you like egg salad so much, because the honker doesn't work. If you could smell it and you knew what it actually smelled like, I don't know if you could devour that sandwich the way you do. You're onto something there.
I probably could. If it tastes like that and I like the taste, I'd be fine. I could hold the smell and just eat. By the way, I've got 55-1 odds on my Masters pick. How about Justin Rose? 55-1. That's worth a few shekels right there.
Absolutely. 55-1. That's worth a 20 spot.
Definitely. Who are you picking again?
Justin Thomas. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier, Rough Tough. But thank you.
I got to admit, I think it's very short-sighted by the DP World Tour. The PGA Tour can live without,
We did not make the top 8 in ratings for the Final Four.
Did you hear me or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For the Final Four?
This is the tournament all the way through. Louisville, Cincy, Indy, KC, Knoxville, Birmingham, Dayton, Columbus, Hartford, New Haven. Birmingham watches its college sports, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's a college town. But if you're the DP World Tour, don't you want Sergio and Westwood and Poulter, and don't you want them playing 12 to 15 events a year? I think it's short-sighted. They have a marketing agreement with the PGA Tour. That's it. Okay, they didn't have to go this far to support the PGA Tour. They didn't. Well, especially the older European, they're not coming back to the PGA Tour ever. Not only that, I mean, come on, really? You're going to have Westwood, Sergio, and Poulter be Ryder Cup captains? I mean, come on.
Well, that's a whole different thing. All right, I'm switching this back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour. It's the final hour of our show on this Thursday. It's the final hour of our week. We are off tomorrow. Hope you all have a good Friday and an Easter weekend. We will see you again on Monday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. The Masters officially underway. Jack and Gary and Tom, the honorary starters, a little over an hour and 15 minutes ago. By the way, Whit Watson did bring up Mark. So, because Gary Player's in his late 80s and Jack's in his early 80s. So, who is the next wave? Because remember, they waited a long time. They didn't replace Arnie right away. They waited a few years till they said to Tom Watson, 8-time major champion, 2-time Masters champion. They waited a few years before they said, well, all right, I guess we'll let you be an honorary starter.
This isn't mine. Someone put it in the Twitch chat room, and I don't remember who. It was very early in the show. I think they're on to something. I think Freddie Couples. I know he doesn't have the resume, David, but you've talked about it. He's won that tournament. He's beloved. Faldo would be another one that I would think of that they would love to have. But
Also, let's just say Tiger. I mean, Tiger, I'm just using his words. Tiger on Tuesday said, I don't know how many more Masters I'll be able to play because of physically. Now, apparently, he's now open to the idea of playing on the Champions Tour because since physically he's not going to play nearly as much golf as he thought he was going to play in his mid and late 40s. Remember, Tiger always said, you ain't going to see me on that tour. Well, now he's joked about, yeah, I get a buggy. Okay. So, I mean, Tiger's kind of like, I just still got the itch to hit the little white ball around if I can get a buggy, which, what'll happen. He'll go on the Champions Tour. He'll look great. He'll win a couple events, and then there'll be this major movement to bring the buggy to the PGA Tour.
And he'll be leading the charge against it, for the record.
I believe he would, yes.
There's not a doubt in my mind.
But let's just say Tiger, within the next handful of years, goes, I can't play this tournament. Can't do it. How long? I understand he'd be very young to make an honorary starter, but I mean, he's won 5 of them. Greatest or second greatest golfer of all time, certainly on the Mount Rushmore of golf, however you want to argue it. I mean, what are you going to do? Make him wait 15 years till he's a senior citizen before you make him an honorary starter?
Only if he wants to be. I mean, I don't know if that's something Tiger would want to do at 52, 53 years old, if you know what I mean.
I know. He'd be there for the Champions Dinner on Tuesday night, though. I mean, so he's not leaving before Wednesday. Hang around one more morning before you take off?
Well, and who knows if if he'll want to play in the par 3 when he's done playing. It doesn't seem Tiger-like, but then again, during the practice round, apparently the story that I read is that he hit an errant tee shot, and he was playing with couples and whoever else it was, but literally yelled at a patron, told a patron to pick the ball up and throw it in the fairway past couples' ball. Now, but think about that. Old Tiger would have never done that. So he's mellowing with age, like all of us do, or at least try to. So things that we never thought Tiger would do may be possible, because if he is truly caring about the game and growing the game, you want to be out there as much as you can. And if he can't play, then still being a part of the Masters, you would think would be something he would want. But I mean, David, can you see Tiger right now as a Ryder Cup captain?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I think it'll happen within the next, they have a Ryder Cup coming up. Is it this year? Yeah, I think it's this year, because they didn't play the Ryder Cup last year because DJ went 5-0 at the end of 2021. So I think they have a Ryder Cup coming up this year. My guess is by 2027, certainly before this decade is out, Tiger's a Ryder Cup captain.
And if he's a Ryder Cup captain, then the Masters honorary starter, those things are all things that I think he would consider.
Here's the other thing. Phil's probably not going to be playing golf in 3 years. I mean, when his exemptions run out to be able to play in these majors, Phil's probably going to be done. His LIV contract will be done. He'll be in his mid-50s. He'll have no place to play. He'll probably be done. You have to admit, it's the one tournament they can do anything they want. Anything they want. Remember when people were going to boycott the tournament 20 years ago because of their, didn't have any minorities or didn't have any women and what have you. And so they literally did the tournament that year with no commercials. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. CBS, when we go to break, you guys want a breath, that's fine. Run some promos for a couple of minutes and then we'll come back.
Listen, we're going to have a couple of old guys. We're going to put on our green coats and we're going to record a 30-second message. And we want you to run it at the bottom and top of every hour and say, listen, we're not going to have any commercials. Hope you enjoy the golf. Now back to the Masters. 4 days of that, by the way. Right. Mm-hmm. Didn't raise the prices on the concessions either. I mean, and as Whit Watson said an hour ago, they spent $30 million for 30 extra yards on 13.
For 30 yards. They reconfigured another hole on another golf course to get 30 yards.
30 million. I mean,
by the way, that's holding out. If you're the Augusta Country Club, that's because it was the Augusta Country Club that the Augusta National Golf Club bought the land from.
Mm-hmm.
That's holding out.
It sure is. However, when you have them annoyed, I mean, clearly within the last year, they showed up at a meeting and they said, okay, here's the deal. You're selling us the blankety blank land. We've been polite long enough. We can legally or illegally get this land from you. We're Augusta. You know it. We know it. So name the price, but we're taking the damn land.
30 million.
Deal. And we'll reconfigure your stupid hole, whatever it is. Yeah, sure, fine. Whatever. We'll even throw in some pimento cheese sandwiches. Here. Enjoy.
Oh, they're so good.
I hate them. Disgusting.
It is. I got to say, of all the things I'm surprised about right now, that's probably at the top. The fact that you don't like cheese and mayonnaise together.
I know.
The sandwich screams David Moulton.
It does. It does. You're right. You're right. There are a few things like that you would think, oh, well, Moulton would love this. No, actually, I don't. And you are correct. I could see where you're shocked. Glad you're not appalled.
No, not appalled. I am stunned of all the things. You know, we've had the cheese tray incident. I watched you attack some cheddar on a cheese tray a couple of weeks ago with zest.
Yes, I did. Yes,
and
I did.
It was delicious. We all did.
Thank you.
But I just that caught me by surprise.
So here's the deal. I don't think Fred's ever an honorary starter. He only won it once. I think at the end of the day, they love him, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Sorry. He's got a great record. I mean, nearly won the thing at 50 in 2010. I mean, he was terrific, but no, I don't think Fred's an honorary starter.
Okay.
I think Faldo will be. I think now the next wave, do you go Faldo longer? Is that too European? Remember, the Euros had that wave where they won like 8 out of 12 Masters. Seve and Faldo and Olazabal, and they had a great Sandy Lyle, Woosnam. I mean, they had a run at Augusta.
Yeah, I think Faldo and Freddie will be your two.
I don't think it'll be Freddie. And here's where, if you're the Masters, I know he's toe jam right now. I get it. There's only 3 guys who have won the Masters more than Phil Mickelson. His greatest triumph was, some people would say it was the PGA at 50, but that first one that he won in 2004, the 31 on the back 9. The famous birdie on 18 and the leap and all that. I mean, come on. Until he joined LIV, Phil was in all the Masters promos. They love Phil at Augusta. Not just the patrons. I'm talking about Augusta. Remember Augusta last year? We invited Phil, could play here. He chose not to be. We wish he was here. They asked him, they wanted to give him a 30-minute microphone.
Right. They asked him if he wanted a spot on the podium. Phil declined.
Right. I mean, he's won 3 Masters. There's 3 guys who have won more. Jack, Arnie, and Tiger. That's it. You sure we can't have 5-7 years go? He's approaching 60. You sure Phil's not an honorary starter?
Love to see where Phil's standing is with the game, because right now he's removed himself. He's taken himself away from the game.
He did. There's no doubt. And Mark, in 3 years, he'll be in witness protection. He will not be playing golf. Honestly, by the end of this decade, Phil will not be a golfer. And I'm wondering, is that when the Masters say, we'll bring you back? You want to roll back in the sport again? We'll see you 7:45 a.m. Thursday. Tuesday night champions dinner. Hell, why don't you play in the par 3? And then you just hang out Thursday morning and do your thing. You can go home. What do you say?
They should. It's a question of whether or not they will. Because they've stiff-armed Live Golf as much as they can while keeping true to what their form is. And this would be bridging the two, however long down the road it is. And we don't know what happens with Live Golf between now and then and how this all works out. But the DP World Tour took down Live Golf in their court case. So that's one win for them. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Amateur, it's McLean, it's spelled McLean, but it could be McLean, who knows. He is a 29-year-old optometrist from Northern Ireland, and he is 2 under through 4.
He's an optometrist?
He's an optometrist. He's 29. He's not like a, normal am, if you know what I mean. I don't know what he won to get in. No idea. Man, he hit it stiff on 4.
Really? Where's the pin on 4? That's
Looked
a
like it
tough
was in the
part.
front. Looked like it was in the front.
I will say on Sunday, when they put that pin in the front and the tees all the way back, that hole's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
4 and 5 back to back. Oof.
Kevin now off to a 4-over start through 6.
That's an LIVer, isn't it?
Thought so, yeah.
Kevin Na.
And someone texted in that Mariota signed with the Eagles. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, I did sign with somebody. Yeah, I think that's right. Like 5 years or $5 million. Yes. They are correct.
Oh, I don't. I think it's a good signing because they lost, what's his name? DJ Shark there. So it's a good signing. But that's a 4th receiver for them now. All right, I'm flipping it back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A reminder, we're off tomorrow. So have a great rest of your week. It's a big Holy Week for many. So enjoy your weekend. It's also Masters Week and weekend. Who's leading right now?
Matthew McLean. He is an amateur. He is a 29-year-old optometrist from Northern England. And he has birdied the 1st and 4th holes, and he is leading the Masters at 2 under, 2 shots clear of a huge group at even par.
An optometrist is leading this thing?
Yes.
Hot damn. I didn't see that coming. Ha, ha, ha. I'm banned from the show now, aren't I?
Maybe you need glasses. Any other bad eye puns we can get in here in the next couple of seconds?
I hope not. I really hope not. I'm sure there's a dozen of them, but no, let's stop now. By the way, we have not talked about this, and we should have. It's one of our favorite events, but they take a full week off. We forget about them. The Frozen Four, the NCAA hockey tournament resumes tonight. They've taken a week and a half off. They're in Tampa, baby.
What do we got? Michigan.
We got 5 o'clock BU in Minnesota, and then at 8:30 Michigan and Quinnipiac. 4 of the top 5 teams in the country. There's no fluke, no nothing here. Got like 3 1s and a 2 seed. I mean, I think Denver was the only 1 seed that didn't win, and BU won in their region, and they were like ranked 5th in the country. So, no, we got the heavyweights, baby. And with Michigan, Minnesota, and BU, you're going to have some fan bases.
Oh, it'll be rocking. I'd be curious to see if they sell that out tonight. I would think that they would, but that's our home for the Frozen Four. This would be our destination every year. If Miller and Moulton were in charge, we would make Tampa like Omaha.
And it would be wildly successful. And I think the Lightning organization would sign off on it. Yeah, it's late in the regular season, and it means that, second to last week of the year, we're not home. So what? It's 3 games. Tops. So you play them the following week or the week before. No big deal. You got 6 months to get the games in. It'll be fine. Listen, if Minnesota wins early and Michigan wins late, do they bring the little brown jug to the rink on Saturday? Because they don't play for that every year anymore. In fact, they don't even play for it every other year. They're lucky if they play one another like every 4 years. I think you got to bring the little brown jug to the rink if it's Minnesota, Michigan on Saturday.
I don't know if Michigan would want to do that. It's not as easy to win this in hockey as it is in football for them.
I understand.
But Michigan, as it's pointed out in our Twitch chat room, I'd forgotten, Gavin Brindley and Seamus Casey both started their hockey right here at Hertz Arena. Both playing for the University of Michigan.
How great is that? It's also great for their families. They get to just travel up the highway, go see them. Not that they wouldn't go see them wherever, but you know what I mean. That's cool.
Right.
That is cool.
The youth hockey here, it's amazing. Kids getting drafted that started their hockey careers in Southwest Florida it's always something that when I helped start the Everblades, we looked at the youth hockey program and thought that it could grow. I don't even know if in Craig Brush's wildest dreams he was going to expect to have kids drafted that started playing their hockey in Southwest Florida.
Did you?
No. Just wanted to get this thing off the ground.
I will say Andrechuk has put together apparently a glorious Tampa team or two. And so youth hockey on the west coast of Florida is actually thriving. It's elite, actually.
Oh, and what they've done is they've kind of had to put the whole state together for the elite programs. I think it's called the Florida Alliance. If I'm wrong, someone will correct me. But they now go, whether it's to Quebec City to the Pee Wee tournaments, whether it's going up to Detroit to take on the Powers in and around the greater Detroit area, these teams that are playing around the country here, you're right, David, they are elite in the country, and it's at the highest level.
And speaking of college sports, we would be remiss if we did not bring up a couple of reports from yesterday in which, according to multiple reports, Carl Semesko has been offered the women's basketball job at Pitt. He's an Ohio native. He doesn't have much family, but I believe he has one brother, and his brother is a football coach at Allegheny. And Mark, as you know, Allegheny's not too far from Pittsburgh.
No, it's not.
Like within 20 minutes to the north, right?
You get me screwed up on directions in that town, but I think you're right.
So,
too many damn bridges in Pittsburgh, David. I never know what direction I'm going in that city.
Now, obviously, it's an ACC job. He was offered, reportedly, the Mississippi State job last year and turned it down. He turned down USC a few years ago. I will say that, my understanding was they kind of lowballed him financially. I would have turned it down too if what I was told was true. Don't know how you could live out there with what he was offered. Never mind what his assistants. I don't even know how they'd have housing, but it's a whole other story. But obviously that'd be a big deal if all of a sudden by the time we came back on Monday, if he was no longer the women's basketball coach at FGCU. And I have not talked to Carl. I have no information. The one thing I will say is that was never the kind of job I thought he would leave for. Pitt finished dead last in the ACC. They don't have much of a history of success in women's college basketball. I always thought, Mark, he would leave for a job in which he'd have a legitimate chance to go to a Final Four at. Okay, that would be a type of program in which, we should be playing the second week of the tournament most years. I got a chance to make the final weekend.
Well, you and I were both open. When I pointed out about, 3 weeks ago that Michigan State's coach resigned, we thought that was the type of job that would have been perfect for him, but he wasn't even considered.
Nope. My sources told me that, they did not consider a man at all. And that's just a fact of life right now in women's college basketball. It's the most prominent job, obviously, in women's college sports. And there is a lot of pressure on ADs to hire a woman to lead the most high-profile women's program. And there are certain programs, in fact, the majority of them, who will only consider women now going forward for their programs. That's just a fact of life. And the guys in women's college basketball know it. They know that in some places they won't even get a sniff because, nope, sorry, we're going in a different direction. Oh, okay. I hear you. But that's worth paying attention to.
Absolutely.
Apparently he was not their first choice. Apparently they went after the UMass coach who said no. But, does it really matter if you're the first choice or the fourth choice or whatever?
ACC job.
It is.
Huge bump in status, would allow him to get the players that he's never been able to get.
And granted, he's from the region. He's from Ohio. He's got recruiting connections there. It would be a pay bump. I mean, the coach who just left was making in the mid-sixes. So I don't think that's doubling his pay, but it's a healthy raise. I'll bet it's a $250,000 a year raise. Easy. Maybe more.
And Pittsburgh's not an expensive city either. You talk about the USC job. You go move out there. That's an expensive place to live. You get your salary doubled. Well, that doesn't really mean anything.
Right. The Mississippi State job, it means you got to move to Starkville, Mississippi. That might have been the reason that he wasn't interested. But it's been reported since yesterday afternoon. So we'll see. Worth paying attention to, worth watching. That would be big.
Boy, oh boy. That's their number one program right now at that university, and it would certainly be a gut punch to FGCU if Carl Semesco does leave for the Pitt job. The good, the bad, and the ugly, what's on tap? Today was the day when. All still ahead as we finish our week. We've got tomorrow off. We'll finish it up next on the Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, it's not a vacation for Mark. Mark's doing 2.5 jobs now. But here's the funny thing, though. The producer didn't fall asleep. The producer hit all our breaks. All our sounders hit when they were supposed to hit. It's funny. The show was flawless. No hot mics during the breaks. Exactly. Nope.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We're off tomorrow, so our last moments of our work week. I hope you all have a great Easter weekend, Masters weekend, etc.
Go hunt for some eggs.
You know, we were big into the Easter egg hunts as a family, and now our granddaughter has a massive egg allergy. And so she can't even touch the outside of the eggs.
Plastic eggs will work.
Yes. And apparently you can dye marshmallows. That's also a substitute that we've seen. So I don't know if we're going to try that on Sunday.
I like the plastic egg with the treat right in it. But, I mean, in the Moulton household, for that to be a part of your Easter is a little sacrilege, because we all know that you are the house of the deviled egg. So without the hard-boiled egg to then turn into the deviled egg, what
I know.
Where do you go?
I know.
Where are you going to go?
My mother and I are going to have to like do our own little appetizer egg thing and keep it away from the granddaughter / great granddaughter. Yes. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, leads into our poll question. Pimento cheese or egg salad? What is your master's sandwich of choice?
We are split right down the middle. I mean, this vote has gone 51-49 in each direction. Lots of votes, lots of changes. Moulton team egg salad, Miller team pimento cheese.
And
Vote
this
accordingly.
Is very genuine, by the way. This is no shtick. I hate pimento cheese.
And I hate egg salad.
Right. So there you go. So bragging rights is on the line here.
This segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Lots of stuff today. I don't know how important this stuff is, but we'll do it anyhow. 1889 is where we start today. This guy named George Eastman begins selling his flexible rolled film for the first time. His Kodak flexible rolled film.
Huh.
Today in 1906.
He had a good run.
About
100 run. About 110, 120 years. Had a really good run.
1906, the world's first animated cartoon is released. 1909, the North Pole is reached by American explorers. Big day in 1930, David. James Dwyer. He invented the Hostess Twinkie.
Oh.
The ones he invented in 1930, by the way, are still there and edible. Today in 36, they completed the third Masters. Horton Smith, the winner. Gene Sorensen was the defending champ. He finished third. Craig Wood wins in 41. Jimmy DeMeritt wins in 47. Sam Snead wins his second today in 52. In 58, Arnold Palmer wins the first of his 4 Masters titles.
58, 60, 62, 64.
And the first of his 7 majors, for that matter. Today in 73 was Roberto Clemente Day in Pittsburgh. They retire his number 21. I brought this one up just because it interested me. Today in 74, 200,000 attend the rock concert, the California Jam at the Ontario Motor Speedway in California. Listen to this lineup, David. They couldn't do concerts like this anymore. The headliners are Earth, Wind, and Fire, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Could you get more different bands than that?
No.
We go all the way to 87 when Sugar Ray Leonard upsets Marvin Hagler at Caesar's Palace. Wrong guy won that fight.
I have to admit, though, watching it live, did you see it live or did you see it afterwards?
Believe I saw it afterwards.
Live, I thought Leonard won. I was doing local news at the time, and then it was at the Armory in Scranton on a pay-per-view showing, and we went in and watched it and the whole deal, and in amongst the crowd, and it was as packed as I've ever seen that place. I thought Leonard won 7 rounds to 5. When I watched it without emotion around me, I thought at best Leonard got a draw, and maybe it was Hagler 7-5.
92, Duke beats Michigan by 20. Back-to-back titles for the Blue Devils. 2009, North Carolina beats Michigan State for their 5th title. 2015, Duke beats Wisconsin. And today in 2019, the Lightning beat the Bruins in the season finale for their 62nd win. Will that mark stand? They tied the Red Wings for the most wins and points in NHL history.
Of course, we all know a week and a half later, they were swept out of the playoffs, and it meant absolutely nothing. And if you're a Bruins fan, I mean, do you really care about this record?
I don't think the fans do. I know the players want the cup, but when you play this hard, you've got to want that record a little bit. Hall of Fame catcher Mickey Cochran and Merle Haggard, both born today. Those celebrating birthdays, Billy D. Williams is 86. Bert Blyleven is 72. Mary Lou Henner, 71. Warren Haynes from the Allman Brothers is 63. Paul Rudd's 54. Olaf Kolzik, Ole the goalie, is 53, and friend of the show, Lou Merloni, is 52 years old today. And that, David, was a day when? What did I miss?
We officially entered World War I today, 2 days after the Senate voted to go to war against Germany. The House overwhelmingly voted as well. The reason that was a big deal was 3 years earlier, President Wilson had said, we're going to remain neutral. 3 years later, we changed our minds. 2001: A Space Odyssey was released in movie theaters today, back in 1968. So 55 years ago, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And the inspiration for The Fugitive, Sam Shepard, who was a doctor, died on this day in 1970. But Sam Shepard is the reason that F. Lee Bailey came into prominence. He was the one that led his appeal, went to the Supreme Court, said he didn't receive due process, and then on appeal overturned his conviction.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Albany, New York for the good today, where two garbage men just doing their thing, smelled smoke. They thought the truck tires were burning, or they were burning rubber, or something was going on. And then they saw an orange glow in the night sky. That's when Kenneth Carter and Corone Brow sprang into action, beginning kicking doors to alert people, saving 15 people from fire that completely burned down the buildings in which they lived and homes in which they lived. I would say that qualifies as pretty good.
I agree.
For the bad, we go to Delaware, where Mark Tannen is an idiot. He tried to remove someone from a car to carjack them. That person forced him away and got away. But then he went after car number 2 in an attempt to carjack. Try number 2 did not go as well as try number 1, because this time he tried to carjack an off-duty officer.
Dumbass.
The officer chased him down, had other officers who eventually helped, bringing Tannen in for an arrest. Investigators say no one was hurt in either attempted carjacking and no weapon was used on either. Finally, the ugly. Travis Jordan was just out in Brevard County in Florida singing some karaoke, David. When he wanted to do song number 2, and they said no, he wasn't up. So he pulled out a machete that he had concealed on himself after being denied his request to sing another karaoke song. No word on what either song was that he was trying to attempt, but he was arrested on the spot. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, April the 6th, 2023.
Decent amount of action was scheduled in Major League Baseball, but 4 games have already been postponed. The Mets home opener postponed against the Marlins. Rays were scheduled to be off today anyway. Yankees at Orioles, Reds at Phillies, Astros at Twins, all postponed. Hell, they were postponed late yesterday for today. Frozen 4 going on tonight in Tampa, 5 o'clock. BU in Minnesota, 8:30. Michigan and Quinnipiac, both games on ESPN2. That's because on ESPN, late afternoon, there'll be that little golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia. Speaking of hockey, Mark, 14 NHL games scheduled for tonight. 14 out of a possible 16. Here are the biggies. Panthers are hosting Ottawa. Right now, Florida is the first wild card, tied with the Islanders, but they own the tiebreak, but they're only a point ahead of the Penguins, who are sitting on the outside looking in. Islanders are hosting the Lightning, while the Penguins are hosting the Wild. Schedule-wise, slight advantage Florida tonight.
Absolutely. I don't even think it's a slight advantage. They're at home. They're minus 265 against Ottawa. The Islanders are favored at home against the Lightning, albeit just barely. And the Penguins are a favorite at home against the Wild. But the biggest favorite the Panthers are one of the biggest favorites of the night.
So 14 games, but those are the three biggies. Wrestling with three teams for the 2 wild card spots in the East. Meanwhile, 5 NBA games. The TNT doubleheader involves the Heat, 7:30. Miami's in Philly. Here's the deal. The game's meaningless for the Sixers. If Embiid plays, the only meaning to it is he's trying to win the MVP. It's meaningful for the Heat. They've got to win out and hope the Brooklyn Nets lose out to be the 6th seed. So if the Heat lose tonight in Philadelphia, they're in the play-in, and Brooklyn clinches the 6th seed. Magic are hosting the Cavs once again. By the way, the late game mark of the TNT double dip, interesting, even though both teams are locked into their seeding. Denver at Phoenix. Phoenix yet to lose with Durant. The Nuggets were called soft by their coach 2 nights ago. They have been playing well down the stretch. Jokic also wants to win MVP, his 3rd in a row. The most meaningful game from a playoff standpoint, believe it or not, is OKC at Utah.
That's what I was going to say. That game right now, Oklahoma City's got to win one on the road.
OKC is tied with Dallas for the 10th and final play-in spot, but OKC is the tiebreak. Utah's fighting to stay alive. They're first team out right now. So there you have it. What's going on tonight? Hockey, basketball, baseball.
At the moment, there are 9 players that are 1 under par at Augusta National. Among them, Mike Weir, Kevin Kisner, and Keith Mitchell, all part of the group that 1 under par, with the morning tee times just getting going right now.
It's been 20 years since Mike Weir won the Masters. 20 years.
That actually sounds about right.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, because he became the first lefty to win the Masters. We all thought it would be Phil. Weir won it the year before Phil.
I've got JT. David's got Justin Rose.
Yep. Going off the beaten path. I think the rain plays a factor. Rose, I think, will be up there on the leaderboard heading into the weekend, and he can grind out pars.
And will that be enough? Our poll question is up. In honor of the Masters, what sandwich are you going with? The egg salad or the pimento cheese? Egg salad starting to take a little bit of a lead, 52.1% of the vote. So my cheeseheads need to respond in big numbers. I'll be retweeting it every hour on the hour to try to stick up for pimento cheese today.
It is fascinating, the subject matter that generates interest. And I have had more people follow me on Twitter today because of that poll question than I think I've had in any individual show in our 3rd act.
The egg salad lovers are there for you, David.
I guess that's why they're following me, because they
an expensive sandwich now with what eggs cost.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. You can get 2 pimento cheese for an egg salad, as a matter of fact. Have a great Easter holiday. Enjoy the Masters. We'll be back on Monday. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea.